Chapter 1343. After putting down the phone, Pai Jishan's face was very serious. He didn't say much to Xiao Ji, but he immediately reported the news to his father, the current head of House Pai. His grandfather, the old ancestor of House Pai, was in isolation, and there was no need to alert him. After hearing his son's report, the head of House Pai, Pai Jaka's face darkened. How could there be an Earth class in the common world? Didn't the council forbid the Earth class from the hidden houses and sects from entering the common world? Without the council's permission, there will be severe punishment. Father, this is what I'm worried about as well. Do you think it's someone from the ancient sects? Jishan said hesitantly. Hard to say. Jaka's face turned even more cautious. If it's someone from there, then even the council wouldn't dare interfere. Then we? Jishan asked carefully. Before we find out where Hero Guden came from, let's not act rashly for now. Pai Jaka waved his hand. Recently we, House Pai, have moved into Songshan, and I've done some research on Songshan's area of influence. It said that the hidden House Zhao's bastard, Zhao Qibing, was crippled by Guden's boss, Lin Yi. He's still in a wheelchair now. You have to know that House Zhao is the same as us, they're a hidden house as well, yet they were able to hide for so long without doing anything. This means that there's something strange about the power behind Lin Yi. Yeah, I didn't think that Pai Yangyang would be so impulsive making a move on House Chu. Now we're in trouble. Jishan sighed. It's my fault for not reminding them. I've just investigated the power distribution in Songshan, and I didn't have time to tell Xiao family before they made their move. Pai Jaka said, we've suffered a loss this time. We can't act rashly, we can only observe for now. Right, father, I heard that Jianghu is coming out of seclusion, and he's already gotten permission from the council to enter the common world, and his enemy is this Guden master's boss, Lin Yi? Jishan said. Jem? Why didn't I think of that? This is great, having an Earth class like Jianghu to test Lin Yi's strength isn't bad at all. Hearing this, Pai Jaka immediately said happily, when the time comes, we'll see what the situation is like and plan our next step. Yes, we can reap the rewards now. Jishan nodded. On the other side, Guden was sitting in the car like nothing had happened, his eyes wide open. Oh brother Guden, you're so powerful. You killed Itchy Skin with one punch. Yushu praised, but you're still a little lacking compared to Shield Bro, and Shield Bro is more handsome than you. Oh, of course boss is stronger than me, Guden nodded matter-of-factly. Yushu didn't find it interesting at all, this guy really knew his place but it was pointless. Man, he's not as good as Shield Bro. This bodyguard is too weak. Yushu shook her head. Shield yup yelled said back. Y-shu, mean Shield Y-shu Y-ami said. Y-e Jishan shu kani. Don't worry, she's telling the truth, Guden nodded. Mengyao didn't know what to say. This guy was too honest. Mengyao didn't know what to say. This guy was too honest. General Wei Wu was sent to a small town by Lu Wangli's men, and Lin Yi went to pick him up personally. He didn't let Lu Wangli's men get close to the tomb. Lin Yi wasn't sure which side the master was from yet, and Lin Yi didn't want to cause any problems. No one was surprised by Lin Yi's action of bringing a dog. Using a dog's sense of smell was a very common method of tomb raiding, but it was too troublesome to train a dog, and modern technology had gradually replaced it over the years. At night, the people in charge of each group appeared in Old Hei's tent. Other than Old Kang who was killed, everyone else was here. Xiaoka couldn't help but look at Lin Yi a few more times. Lin Yi's words made her feel weird. She felt that Lin Yi looked familiar. Could it be that she'd met Lin Yi before? Otherwise, why would he be so kind as to remind her to be careful? She knew that this was a dangerous trip, but thinking about the orphanage and the high reward she could get, she decided to stay. Since everyone's here, let's discuss tomorrow's tomb exploration. I don't know who did this today, but I don't want this to happen again tomorrow. I've invited a master to help us. If you're not afraid of death, then go ahead. Old Hei's face was very serious. The first thing he said was a threat. He couldn't be blamed for doing this, he'd lost a master today, and the others didn't lose anything. This pissed Old Hei off, and the worst part was that he still didn't know who did it. He discussed with Old Hao for a long time about who was the most likely culprit, but the conclusion was that other than the dead Old King, the others weren't suspicious. In our country, cyborgs and superhumans are controlled by specialized organizations. It's impossible to hire them even if we wanted to. James shrugged, expressing his innocence. You've seen it yourself. My people use modern weapons to kill people. Indeed, out of everyone's firearms, James was the most advanced. The others used normal pistols and submachine guns from the black market. I'm here to hold the line, not cause trouble. Old House said faintly. There's only the three of us. Lin smiled coldly. Aren't we here to discuss business? Are you done yet? If you're not going to discuss, then I'll leave first. You guys continue to suspect. Thief couple, what's the meaning of this? This is a group action. If you're not guilty, then why are you getting all worked up? Old Hao looked at Lin and smiled coldly. Since you don't believe me, then we'll split up tomorrow. Lin said faintly. That. Old Hao was in a difficult position. Old Hao, male thief, let's talk less. We'll discuss tomorrow's plan. Chapter 1344. You guys can do whatever you want, but there's only three of us and we have to stick together. Alright, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. Lin stood up and left the tent, not giving them any face at all. Old Hao could only smile bitterly while Old Hao's eyes sharpened. This male thief really didn't know what was good for him. The night in the mountain was quiet. There were no plants here, only rocks. There weren't many animals here either. It wasn't much during the day, but it was deathly silent at night. Yuqian and Lingshan were resting, and Lin Yi was sitting cross-legged, training hard. General Wei Wu was beside Lin Yi, not sure if it was asleep or not. All of a sudden Lin Yi opened his eyes and General Wei Wu raised its head as well. Don't go out, hide in the tent and wait for me. Lin Yi patted General Wei Wu. This was Lin Yi's trump card and he couldn't let it join the fight. The next moment, Lin Yi walked out of the tent without notifying Yuqian and Lingshan. They were too weak and they wouldn't be of much help. Lin Yi would be afraid. Since you're here, stop hiding. Come out. Lin Yi said faintly to the empty space in front of the tent. There was no sound. I don't need to pull you out, do I? Lin Yi smiled faintly. The color of your body is different from the rocks on the ground. As soon as Lin Yi finished, someone stood up from the ground not far away. Not bad, kid, you have good eyes. Since that's the case, you should know why I'm here, right? Did you kill that Mr. Chiu today? Lin Yi didn't answer the question. There's no harm in telling you. I was the one who killed him. However, I've come here to kill you. The man who called himself, this old man, laughed and spoke in a very arrogant manner. There are many people who want to kill me. Lin Yi smiled. Why are you here? Before you die, I will tell you. After the man finished speaking, he charged towards Lin Yi. A huge amount of true qi revolved around his body, allowing Lin Yi to see this person's cultivation for the first time. As expected of an Earth class master. Although he was only at the early phase of Earth class, the gap between him and Lin Yi was not small. Early Earth class? Lin Yi took a deep breath, not daring to be careless. This was an Earth rank master, different from the ones he had faced before. Lin Yi had never fought against an opponent who was much stronger than him, so he had to be cautious. You have good eyesight. To be able to die by this old man's hand, it's a worthy death. The Earth rank expert laughed heartily. In a tent not far away there were two people sitting. Both of them had an anxious expression on their faces. Well, Lung, why do you think this Mr. Yu is helping me? What's in this tomb that they're interested in? The man who looked like the owner of the tent frowned. Boss, House Yu is a big family. If they're interested in something in this tomb, it must be something important. But didn't they say that they'll only take one item? They don't want the rest, they'll all belong to us. Lung said carefully. Yeah, let's hope so. After this, I'll probably be wanted by the Thieves Association. After doing something like this, I won't have the face to stay in the Thieves Association anymore? The owner sighed helplessly. It's all my fault for being greedy. It's too late to turn back now. House Yu isn't easy to talk to. If I go back on my word, they'll probably kill me without a second thought. Boss, we're just working with House Yu. If this goes well, the treasures in this tomb will be enough for you to live your life in the future. You'll be able to retire and start a proper business. Lung said. And with House Yu's support, it'll be even better than now. That's true. We can only hope for the best now. I wonder if that Lin Yi kid is dead yet, that bastard. The owner said hatefully. If it weren't for him, this would have been a success. Yeah, but with Mr. Yu's help, that kid won't live to see tomorrow's sun. Ling nodded. Lin Yi didn't dare face Mr. Yu's attack head-on. Lin Yi wasn't looking to die yet, so he could only dodge the attack with his speed. Kid, you've got some skills. Mr. Yu didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. When he killed Mr. Chiu, he didn't feel any pressure at all. Someone at Mr. Yu's level would always look down on people who were weaker than him. And so, when Lin Yi dodged his attack, Mr. Yu gasped in shock. Lin Yi didn't say anything, waiting for the opportunity. There was no chance of luck against an Earth class like this. He had to hit him in one hit. Otherwise, if he didn't kill him, he'd die first. But even so, Mr. Yu didn't take Lin Yi seriously. He was still toying with him like he was a low-leveled fighter. His attacks were arrogant as well, as if killing Lin Yi was a great honor. Lin Yi dodged again, but Mr. Yu's pure chi hit his right cheek, and Lin Yi's face turned red and swollen. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. This was only a small amount of pure chi, and if Mr. Yu had hit him with a single punch, he'd be dead or at the very least on the verge of death. "Kid, you're too weak, don't dodge, I can kill you easily." Mr. Yu laughed when he saw Lin Yi's swollen right cheek. "How is it? Does it hurt?" "Umph." Lin Yi humphed coldly and didn't say anything, but he was getting more and more shocked. It seemed like he had to use the energy bomb sooner. Earth class was much harder to deal with than he'd imagined. Most of the people he'd faced before were on the same level as him, even those who were stronger than Lin Yi were on the same level. But now he'd lost an entire level. Lin Yi made a quick decision and activated the art of dragon mastery, compressing the pure chi in his body. Although Lin Yi had the jade space, Lin Yi didn't dare enter the jade space to get energy when he was fighting an enemy. So he could only compress it with his own energy. Seeing that Lin Yi didn't run and only stared at him coldly, Mr. Yu felt that it was pointless. He wanted to let Lin Yi run first and then kill him from behind. That would be more satisfying, but this kid in front of him didn't seem to care. Chapter 1345. Earth class was a huge leap in strength, and in the eyes of an Earth class, Mystic and Golden class were like ants. Once one entered Earth class, it was a completely different story. This was also why only hidden houses and sects had Earth class masters, and the reason why Earth class masters were forbidden from entering the world was because they were too dangerous. This was a dividing line, and entering Earth class meant entering the camp of Sky class. There was a chance that one could become a Sky class. After reaching Sky class, one's lifespan would lengthen, and this was the dream of all Earth class masters. As for higher levels, they didn't even dare think about it because there had been people who tried to reach that level before, but there was no news of them anymore. "You sure you can kill me in one move?" Lin Yi was panicking. He was only halfway through the compression, and this Mr. Yu was getting impatient already, preparing to kill him in one move. This made Lin Yi panic. But on the surface he was stalling for time. "What a joke, if I could use half a move you'd still be dead." Lin Yi's questioning made Mr. Yu feel like he was being insulted, and he was enraged. "Is that so? Then why didn't you kill me after using so many moves?" Lin Yi said slowly, but his heart was urging it to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, it's almost done. If Yushu and Xiaoxiao heard Lin Yi's thoughts they'd probably misunderstand. Miss Pan and Tang Yun were purer so they wouldn't think too much about it. "I was just messing with you, couldn't you tell?" Mr. Yu was about to explode. What kind of eyesight did this kid have? Couldn't he tell when he was messing with him? Did he think he was only at this level? "I really didn't see it." Lin Yi nodded solemnly, thinking that it was true. "Wah, I'm so pissed off, die." Mr. Yu swung his fist at Lin Yi, evidently using 10% of his strength. He wanted to finish off Lin Yi in one hit. Lin Yi sighed inwardly. In the end, he was still a little short and couldn't complete the energy compression. He was already stalling for time, but this old man didn't give him a chance. "Die." Lin Yi threw out the energy bomb the moment Mr. Yu charged at him and quickly retreated. Lin Yi didn't hope to kill Mr. Yu with this move, because even a 100% compressed energy bomb might not be able to kill an Earth class, let alone an incomplete version. The explosion was loud enough to wake everyone up. Lin Yi didn't believe that Mr. Yu would continue the fight once everyone woke up. If he really wanted to expose himself, there was no need for him to hide. He could have killed everyone in the tomb during the day. This was not a difficult task for an Earth-ranked master. Lin Yi guessed that the reason why he didn't do so was that he wanted to use these people as cannon fodder in the ancient tomb. Boom dash, the energy bomb exploded right in front of Mr. Yu, turning his right arm into a bloody mess. But from Lin Yi's perspective, it was just an injury, and he'd be able to use his right arm after some rest. It didn't cause any more damage than that. But even so, Lin Yi was satisfied. After the explosion, he quickly retreated into his tent, thinking that this Mr. Yu would hide as well. After all, the earth-shattering sound just now was not as loud as the complete version of the energy bomb that Lin Yi used against Maju. However, it was still earth-shattering. In this quiet valley, only a deaf person would not be able to hear it. Mr. Yu's arm was injured for no reason, and he was furious. "Wayaya rat, how dare you ambush me? What kind of dirty trick are you using?" Mr. Yu had never heard of an energy chi bomb before, so he thought that Lin Yi used some kind of modern weapon like a grenade. But a mystic with chi protection wouldn't get hurt so easily, and he was an Earth class. How could he get hurt by a grenade? How was this possible? Mr. Yu was confused, but he knew that Lin Yi's loud noise had woken everyone up. He could only endure the pain and hide, wondering if Lin Yi had used something like nitroglycerin or something. At such a close distance, even with his true chi protection, he was blown to such a state. Even if he dodged to the back, he would still be heavily injured, right? With that thought, Mr. Yu calmed down a little. He took out a bottle of medicine from his pocket and sprinkled it on his arm. Mr. Yu was right, even if Linny dodged to the back with experience, and the energy bomb wasn't the complete version, Linny was still injured. But Linny endured the pain and went back to the tent. Only after entering the tent did Lin Yi's face turn red, and he spat out a mouthful of blood on the ground. His face was a little pale as he sat down on the ground and went into the jade space. Ling Shan and Yu Tian, on the other hand, were woken up by the explosion. They were just about to see what was going on when they saw Lin Yi spitting out blood and sitting down on the ground. They wanted to ask what was wrong with Lin Yi, but they didn't dare disturb him right now. They could only wait anxiously on the side. Not long after, footsteps came from outside the tent, followed by a voice. "Husband and wife thief, please come to Hey Bro's tent for a chat." Ling Shan and Yu Qian looked at each other, and Yu Qian walked out of the tent directly, glaring at the person who was talking. "What are you shouting for? Master's doing some private stuff right now, wait." The underling who came to look for the thief, Old Hay, froze after hearing Qin Yu Tian's words. Was he doing something private? What did he mean? But after thinking about it, he understood. The husband and wife thief couldn't be doing something in the middle of the night, could they? It was possible just thinking about it. No wonder this idiot was guarding the door. With that thought, the man said, "Didn't you guys hear the explosion?" "I heard it, but I don't know if the master heard it or not." "They're still inside," Yu Tian said faintly. Chapter 1346. "We can go if we want, we don't need you to say anything." Qin Yu Tian humphed coldly. "What the hell is this?" Hey Bro's underling shook his head and left helplessly. It was one thing for this couple to have a bad temper, but their underlings were the same. What was there to be proud of? Mr. Yu quickly bandaged his arm and disappeared into a tent in the night. "Elder Yu, you're back." "Your arm. What's this?" The people in the tent were happy to see Elder Yu come back, but they were shocked when they saw the bandage on his right arm and the blood stains on his body. "That young thief tricked us and I underestimated his strength. He's actually a mystic." Elder Yu humphed coldly. "Didn't you say that he doesn't know martial arts?" The people in the tent had an ugly expression on their faces. "Elder Yu, I really didn't know that the male thief was a master, and I didn't know that he was a mystic. He never showed his strength in front of us before, I didn't know either. This young man played dirty, using explosives to blow me up. If I wasn't in Earth class, I would have lost my arm. But this kid was so close to the explosives when he blew me up, he's not much better off. If we don't treat him in time, he'll probably die." Elder Yu humphed. "I said that we'd kill all these kids and leave after we get the items, but you didn't agree." "Calm down, Elder Yu, I had no choice. You know you're a master of the hidden house, Yu, and even if others knew that you killed these people, it wouldn't matter. No one would dare say anything to you, but I'm different. If the entire thief sect were to point their spear at me, I wouldn't be able to take it." The one who spoke was the person called Boss. "So what? House Yu will protect you and do some business. Let's see who dares touch you then." Elder Yu humphed in disdain. "Of course, but as the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry." The boss thought to himself. Although it sounded nice, what would he do if you didn't care about me? Besides, you can protect me for a while, but you can't protect me forever. It's easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to guard against a stab in the dark. If you can't take care of it, won't I be in trouble? I don't care, my patience is limited. If I can't take care of these people tomorrow, I'll do it in the open. Elder Yu said impatiently. Okay, I'll try my best. The boss sighed and nodded. Boss, shall we go over? I think most of the people are already here. Xiaoling reminded him. The boss nodded and left the tent. In Old Black's main tent, everyone was already present. Old Black also brought one of his trusted subordinates in. Looking at everyone present, only the thief couple wasn't present. Old Hey, what the fuck are you talking about? You made all of us come, but you're the last to arrive? Even Old How came earlier than you? James said unhappily. He was sleeping soundly when he was woken up and dragged to Blackie's tent for a meeting. Naturally, he was unhappy. Should I send someone to inform everyone one by one? That's why we've been delayed. Old Hay smiled. All right, Old Hay, it's late, what's the matter? Old How waved his hand, gesturing for everyone to stop arguing. There was a sudden explosion just now, and according to my subordinates, there seemed to be fighting nearby. Did you guys hear it? Old Hay nodded and got straight to the point. I heard it, what was that sound? Did someone use explosives? Old How nodded. I think so too. Moreover, there were traces of blood not far from the thief couple's tent. Old Hay said with a serious expression, and the thief couple didn't come here. I suspect that this matter has something to do with the thief couple. That's a right. Now that everyone's here except the couple, I suggest that we all go to their tent and see what they're up to. Old How nodded in agreement. I've always felt that there's something wrong with this couple. James, naturally, didn't have an objection. There were only 3 groups in the tent, and the organizer and the respected Old How had both agreed. What else could he say? He nodded. I have no objections. You mean there's something wrong with me, old thing? Suddenly, a voice came from outside the tent. The couple pushed the door open and stared coldly at Old How and everyone else. Male thief, aren't you? Old How paused when he saw that Linny didn't seem to be hurt at all. What about me? Old How. Linny looked at Old How with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Are you confused that I'm not dead or injured? Oh, how should I know? What does that have to do with me? Old How's face darkened. Didn't that old thing with his crippled hand tell you? Tell me that I'm injured as well and might die? Linny asked faintly. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Old How's face grew even uglier. You don't understand? Then I'll say it for you. Before that old thing killed me, he already told me that you sent him to kill me. But he was too arrogant and didn't kill me. I even found out about it. Linny looked at Old How mockingly, word for word. Bullshit. Old Hay, this kid is a spy. Everything happened today because of him. Let's kill him together. With that, Old How reached for his gun, but Old Hay pulled it out first, pointing it at his head. It's you. You killed Mr. Chio, didn't you? Old Hay, don't misunderstand. Don't listen to the thief's bullshit. What does this have to do with me? Old How jumped, cold sweat forming on his forehead. Old Hay, why are you so impulsive? You invited me here to hold the fort. Why would I kill someone? Yesterday when I insisted on going right, you insisted on going left. Now that I'm on the right path, you insist on going left. What are you planning? Linny asked coldly. I didn't know you were on the right path. Wasn't there a fork? That's why I said to go left. Old How explained. Chapter 1347. I thought going back was the right thing to do. Old How said in a low voice. What's wrong with that? From my experience, going left is the safest way. It's for everyone's good. You're that sure? Then we all went right. You could have gone left. Why didn't you? Linny asked. Well, I thought we'd move together, so I went with you guys. Old How said. Old How, I really admire you. You're willing to sacrifice yourself to the point where you're not afraid of death. If you think it's dangerous for me to go this way, then go back and go left is the way out, and yet you're still following me to the right? What do you want me to say? You're from a suicide squad, aren't you? Linny smiled coldly. You really dare to die? I've already given up on life and death. Old How tried to defend himself. Very well, if that's the case then you can die now. You've given up on life and death anyways, so it doesn't matter if you die. Linny said faintly. Shoot, Old Hay. Your Mr. Chio was killed by him. I've been suspecting him since yesterday, and after what he asked me, I'm sure he's the one behind all this. Is that so? Did you get someone to kill Mr. Chio? Old Hay's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Old How. He trusted him so much, letting him take control of the situation, but now he'd let the wolf into the house. Old Hay, calm down. Why are you listening to him? I'll say he's the mastermind. You guys don't know, do you? This kid is actually a mystic class. Think about it, a mystic killing a golden class is just a matter of minutes. Old How was getting a little hurried. This Old Hay wasn't a reasonable man. He was an impulsive person. Otherwise he wouldn't have pulled out his gun and shot Old King yesterday. You're a mystic class? Old Hay paused, looking at Linny suspiciously. I say, Old How, aren't you a little too strong? I've been hiding the fact that I'm a mystic class master. I've never told anyone about it. Only the Earth class master who fought with me just now knows about my strength. How did you find out so quickly? Are you a clairvoyant or a diviner? Linny looked at Old How mockingly. Old How's eyes went wide, his face ashen as he realized he had said the wrong thing. Yeah, the male thief never said he was a mystic and no one knew about it. Not even his peers in the Steel sect knew about it, so how did Old How know? Fuck. Blackie did not hesitate at all and pulled the trigger. With a bang, a bloody hole appeared in Old How's head. To these grave robbers, killing a person was as simple as eating a meal. If they died, so be it. Lingshan's mouth twitched. She really wanted to stop Old Hay from shooting, but she had no reason to. If she revealed her identity now, everything would be wasted. Not only would she not be able to bring these people to justice, but she, Lin Yi, and Yu Tian would all be in danger. Lin Yi had gotten some rest after coughing up blood before standing up. I'm heavily injured, don't act rashly. Lin Yi endured the pain and brought Lingshan and Yu Tian to Old Hei's tent, afraid that Old Hei would suspect him. Lin Yi had quickly entered the jade space and started healing his wounds, but recovering his strength wasn't something that could be done in a short amount of time. That was why Lin Yi told Lingshan and Yu Tian that Lin Yi was just trying to scare Old Hao and the others. Lin Yi's strength wasn't even at the level of a golden class. James shrugged, a smile that was uglier than a crying face. The traitor's been taken care of and the rest are innocent. Let's talk about tomorrow's tomb robbery? Thank you, Mr. Thief. Old Hei put away his gun and bowed to Lin Yi solemnly. Mr. Chiu is my bodyguard, but I owe him a debt of gratitude. Now that he's avenged, it's all thanks to you, Mr. Thief. But grave robbers were grave robbers. They might say thank you, but they didn't want to give anything in return. These people were greedy, and so Lin Yi didn't put the gratitude to heart. He only waved his hand and sat down with a serious face. Haha, that trash is dead. This old man doesn't have to hide anymore. Since Lil Hao's dead, I might as well work with you guys. At that moment, a burst of laughter came from the entrance of the tent, and the next moment, an old man walked in uninvited. You're. Old Hei's face changed when he heard the laughter. This must be the Earth class behind Old Hao. He'd been too impulsive before and he'd forgotten about this. Now that he was here, he was a little scared. This was an Earth class. To mortals like them, he was like a mountain. You don't deserve to know my name, you can call me Elder Yu. The old man turned to Lin Yi, surprised. Kid, you surprised me. You're not hurt? Lin Yi humphed coldly. You're not dead either, are you? Yes, your little tricks are nothing in front of me. You want to kill me with explosives? Try a missile next time. Elder Yu said faintly. But Lil Hao's dead, I see that you're good at tomb raiding, so I won't touch you for now. Let's talk about working together. Mr. Chiu, did you kill him? Old Hei came back to his senses. So what if I did? Could it be that you want revenge for him? Elder Yu smiled darkly as he looked at Old Hei. I wouldn't dare. Old Hei wasn't an idiot, he could kill Old Hao with one shot, but an Earth class? Even the explosives couldn't kill him, what use was a gun? Plus, this old man didn't seem to be with Old Hao, right? From what he said, he was just working with Old Hao, and now that Old Hao was dead, he wanted to work with the people here. I know you wouldn't dare. Elder Yu said, pleased. But I don't know this Chiu guy. Blame Lil Hao. He told me to kill him. Yes, I've killed Old Hao. Old Hei was a smart man and he said respectfully. How would you like to work together, Elder? Chapter 1348. Oh. Old Hei paused. He didn't think that Elder Yu's condition would be this simple. He just needed to take one thing and leave the rest. He'd be an idiot if he didn't agree. What do you want? James asked. Since Elder Yu had already made his stance clear, and they were working together, they didn't have to worry about him attacking them. Don't worry about that. Elder Yu said faintly. Just say yes or no, my patience is limited. Alright. Old Hei smiled bitterly. Did they have a choice? If they didn't agree, they'd all die here, right? They were Earth class, there was no way they could fight back. Alright, it's settled then. Elder Yu nodded. You guys are more obvious than that little Housie, don't try to hide things. Did I promise you? At this time Lin Yi suddenly interrupted. Old Hei and James paused. Brad, do you want to die? Elder Yu heard Lin Yi's words and felt humiliated. He turned to glare at Lin Yi. Don't think I don't dare kill you. You can't kill me, I'll just use another chi bomb and blow you up. Lin Yi said faintly. Chi bomb? Elder Yu paused. You used a chi bomb just now, not explosives? Are you retarded? You bring explosives with you? Lin Yi curled his lips. I didn't think that, brat, you have some skills. Elder Yu frowned. I don't think you can use it again. You can try. Lin Yi said nonchalantly. What's the point of all this bullshit? What do you want? Elder Yu had been bombed by Lin Yi before, and he was still a little afraid of that chi bomb. He didn't dare to try it. As far as Elder Yu was concerned, he was like a piece of porcelain, and these tomb robbers were crazy. Who knew if they would do something like that? Elder Yu didn't dare to try it again. Tell me, what do you want? Lin Yi asked. Elder Yu's face changed slightly, a little sullen, but after a moment of silence he said, it said that Zhang Liju's medical skills were amazing, and he had made chi-gathering pills for practitioners before. In his grave, there's a high chance that there's a completed chi-gathering pill. Chi-gathering pill? Lin Yi paused. He seemed to have heard of this name before from a certain legendary record. but he didn't have much of an impression of it. He only remembered that it seemed to be beneficial to practitioners. If there is, I'll take it, if there isn't, I don't want anything. Elder Yu said. This chi-gathering pill, what does it do? Linny asked. It's fine to tell you, it can help an Earth-class late-phase peak break through their bottleneck and step into Sky-class. Elder Yu said. Even if you get it, it's useless. Wadash, even old Hay and James, who weren't practitioners, had a shocked expression on their faces. It could help an Earth-class late-phase peak break through their bottleneck and step into Sky-class. What kind of powerful medicine was this? If this pill was put on the market, it wouldn't be surprising if it was sold at a sky-high price. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was a priceless treasure. He believed that those hidden families and sects would break their heads to get their hands on this pill. No matter the price they had to pay, they had to get their hands on it. One could say that all the antiques in an ancient tomb weren't as valuable as this chi-gathering pill. But this chi-gathering pill, even if they had the life to get it, they wouldn't be able to sell it. Hidden houses and sects weren't something these grave robbers could deal with. These people didn't even bat an eyelid, they were even crueler than grave robbers. Who would dare to do business with them? So they could only think about it. If they really held it in their hands, they'd be in trouble. If they were practitioners or from a noble house, of course they'd trade fairly with them, but if they weren't, then sorry, they'd have to kill them and take the pill. On the other side, Xiaoke, Lingshan, and Yuqian were all in disbelief. There was such a powerful medicine in this world? It could help an Earth-class late-phase peak break through their bottleneck? Oh. Lin Yi nodded disapprovingly and said, what if there are two? Would you only take one? Elder Yu's face changed, feeling a little annoyed. What was wrong with this kid? Did he not know any better? He said he'd only take one thing, but if there were two pills, naturally he'd take them as well. One thing was just a reference, it didn't mean that he'd only take one. Bullshit, of course I'd take it as well, this counts as one thing, Elder Yu humphed. Is that so? Then other than this you don't want anything else? Linny said coldly. You've already gone back on your words and I don't trust your trustworthiness. You have no trustworthiness at all. What can I do if you go back on your word? Why ask if you know there's no other way? Elder Yu was pissed. Was there something wrong with this kid? Why ask this bullshit if he knew there was no other way? So, you admit that you're interested in something else other than this? Linny smiled coldly. If I'm not mistaken, you have something more important you want, and this pill is just a pretense. You're not an idiot, aren't you afraid of us coveting it? You're telling us what it's for, aren't you? There's only one reason you're doing this, and that's to divert our attention away from something more important. Am I right? Elder Yu's face was a little ugly. He didn't think that Lin Yi's analysis would be so thorough. He'd said everything in his heart. And Lin Yi was right. This time, House Yu's plan wasn't as simple as the chi-gathering pill, there were other things. But this other thing could be replicated, and so Elder Yu didn't want to say it already. If everyone asked to make a copy, then he'd be in a difficult position. If they could get out of the tomb smoothly after entering, then Elder Yu wouldn't care. What he was afraid of was that it wouldn't be easy to get out after entering, and he couldn't afford to offend these tomb robbers anymore. Otherwise, no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't know all these traps. Chapter 1349. Elder Yu was very confident that he could do this without anyone noticing. Even if Lin Yi was a mystic, he wouldn't be able to keep an eye on him, right? So in order to confuse everyone, Elder Yu said something that wasn't very important. He even made the decision that if they found more than one chi-gathering pill, and these people wanted it, then he'd give one to Lin Yi. As long as Lin Yi didn't cause any trouble, the others wouldn't be a problem to Elder Yu. But he didn't expect Lin Yi to be this smart. He really underestimated this tomb robber. If he knew he was this smart, he would have worked with the couple instead of that idiot old Hao. However, as matters stood, the two of them were already standing on opposite sides. It was practically impossible for them to mend their relationship. Humph, this old man said it without hesitation because this old man doesn't care about you juniors at all. Even if I tell you, can you take it from my hands? Elder Yu naturally wouldn't admit his motives so easily. Is that so? Not necessarily. Linny said faintly. Why don't I try? Old Hay and James gasped at the male thief's domineering. Wasn't this guy a little too fierce? Even if he was a mystic, why didn't he feel any fear when facing an Earth class? It was as if he was trying to steal food from the tiger's mouth. Junior, don't think that I won't kill you. Elder Yu humphed coldly. Kill me? Come on, haven't you heard of this saying? I can't beat you, but I can still blow you up. Linny said with disdain. Elder Yu almost spat out blood. Why was this kid acting like a criminal? Risking his life for no reason? What kind of logic was this? Don't talk so much, I've made myself clear enough. It's up to you guys whether you want to cooperate or not. Elder, you didn't want to talk to Lin Yi anymore. You're the one who begged us to cooperate. If you don't explain your purpose clearly, I can't let you participate. Lin Yi still insisted indifferently. Elder Yu was so pissed that his chest heaved up and down. He wanted to kill Lin Yi, but this kid in front of him just had to play with some chi bomb or whatnot. Elder Yu didn't want to be blown up again when he attacked. Why is this brat like a porcupine? I can't hit him even if I want to. It's really depressing. But, Elder Yu really didn't want to tell them his goal, it was too important. Elder Yu's other goal this time was Zhang Liju's medical notebooks, because there was a high chance that the recipe for the qi gathering pill was recorded in there. There might even be the recipe for intermediate and high-level qi gathering pills. This was a pill that was even better than a normal qi gathering pill. With these things, House Yu would become the strongest hidden house in the world. They might even be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the ancient sects. If this medical notebook was the most important thing, then there was something even more important than this, the notes of a refiner. Zhang Liju was a master of medicine and elixir refinement, but elixir refinement was a profession that had disappeared a long time ago. When people talked about elixir refinement, the first thing they thought of were necromancers. But in the ancient Wulin world, elixir refiners did exist. These people were the most important resources of the ancient sections. They could make elixirs that could heal wounds, increase strength, and recover stamina. This wasn't something a normal doctor could do. Speaking of pills, most people now believe that as long as one had the recipe, and according to the dosage on the recipe, all one had to do was gather all the ingredients and mix them into a pill. In reality, this wasn't the case. This kind of pill was more than enough to cure bodily ailments, but to raise one's power and quickly recover one's stamina, it required precise fire control and purification before it could be made into a pill. It was just that the profession of alchemist had disappeared a long time ago. Even in the current hidden aristocratic families, there was no such existence. The reason why the hidden house you knew about this was because the old master of house you had read about this in the ancient ruins and had been paying attention to the news of the refiner. After that, he found out that the medicine saint was Zhang Liju's other identity as a refiner from the ancient records. So this time, when Zhang Liju's tomb was discovered, House Yu placed a lot of importance on it. They risked punishment from the noble house council and secretly sent an earth class to the tomb. Other than the qi gathering pill and the medical notebook, the most important thing was the refiner's notes. If the hidden house you could have a refiner, then the entire structure of the hidden houses and the ancient sects would change. How could Elder Yu tell these tomb robbers about such an important thing? If the news got out before House Yu had a refiner, the ancient sects would be after it. That would be a disaster for House Yu. More than 10 years ago, a sect was annihilated. Although it wasn't an ancient sect, it was the kind of sect that was on par with the hidden houses. It was said that the young master of this sect had a treasure that could speed up training, and that's why they were in trouble. And how could House Yu protect such an important refiner's notes? If it wasn't for Lin Yi, this male thief, then Elder Yu wouldn't have to be so careful. It wouldn't matter even if he told them, because he was confident that once they left the tomb, he would be able to kill all of them. Even if he gave each of them a copy of the notes, it wouldn't matter. He could just take it back when the time came. But now there was this unknown factor, Lin Yi. With Lin Yi's qi bombs, Elder Yu felt that it wouldn't be a problem for him to escape from his hands. So, he really couldn't let Lin Yi copy the notes. He had no choice but to give up on the medical notebooks. Giving Lin Yi a copy wouldn't be of much use to him. Even if there was the formula for the qi gathering pill in there, he wasn't a refiner and he wouldn't be able to make it. With that thought, Elder Yu said in a low voice, You guessed it right. So what if it is? There is indeed something I want in the tomb, the medical notes of the medical saint Zhang Liju. Even if you want it, it's useless. This thing can't be sold for much, it can't compare to those antiques. Chapter 1350. Lin Yi's eyes froze. Medical notes? Very good, I wasn't planning on killing you, but since you're trying to steal my notes, that means you're trying to steal Xiao Xiao's life. You can go die now, you old bastard. But Lin Yi's body was very weak right now. He was acting very cocky, but he knew himself well. Elder Yu didn't have a cheat like Lin Yi, who could see through other people's strength. He couldn't see through Lin Yi's strength when he wasn't channeling his qi, so he wasn't afraid that he'd see through his act. But if the two of them really started fighting, then Lin Yi's weakness would be obvious. So, no matter how much killing intent Lin Yi had, he could only choose to hold it in for now. Since he'd forced Elder Yu to reveal his true intentions, Lin Yi would just let him go a little. When he recovered his strength, he'd find a chance to heavily injure him in the tomb, or even kill him outright. So it's this thing, It really isn't that useful, but it's useless. I'll still make a copy, and I'm interested in your chi-gathering pellet. If there are 2 of them, can you give me one? Lin Yi's goal was to distract Elder Yu. If Lin Yi just let it go, then Elder Yu would be suspicious. He'd been acting cocky for so long, and now he'd just let it go? Elder Yu sighed and nodded. For the notes, he could only agree to Lin Yi's request. Lin Yi was only a mystic, but he was an unstable factor that gave him a headache. Sure, but I'll only give you one if there are 2. If there's only one, then I'll take it myself. Elder Yu said. As for the notes, you can make a copy if you want, but it's best if you don't spread it. It won't do you any good. Deal. Lin Yi nodded in agreement. Old Hay and James were envious of Lin Yi negotiating with Elder Yu, but there was nothing they could do. Lin Yi had the strength and capital, but they didn't. Since that's the case, this old man will go with you tomorrow morning. Elder Yu let out a breath of relief after getting Lin Yi's confirmation. He walked out of the tent, satisfied. He needed to find a place to heal his wounds. His right hand was destroyed by Lin Yi, and he lost quite a bit of battle strength. He needed to recover as soon as possible. After Elder Yu left, Lin Yi stood up as well. If there's nothing else, I'll be going as well. Now that there are fewer people, what about the distribution of benefits in the tomb? Old Black hesitated for a moment before asking. 50-50. Lin Yi looked at Old Black and said, do you have any objections? 50-50? Old Black smiled bitterly. After 50-50, wouldn't he and James be left with only 5-50? He'd get 30% at most, the same as before, but he'd killed 2 people, so there was no benefit at all. What, you don't agree? Lin Yi looked at Old Black coldly. I agree. Old Black nodded. He didn't dare to disagree. As far as he was concerned, the male thief had the ability to bargain with that Earth class, so what couldn't he do with him? He had to lower his head. The tomb raiding this time was already beyond his expectations. He wouldn't have come if he knew that there would be so many dangers. Lin Yi didn't say anything else as he walked out of the tent with the girls. The moment he walked out of the tent, Lin Yi's face lost all its color, becoming terrifyingly pale. Lin Yi had been very weak all this time, and he hadn't even recovered his stamina yet. He only did a simple treatment on his internal injuries, and it could be said that he had been forcing a smile. Male thief, what's wrong? Lingshan saw the color on Lin Yi's face and quickly went up to support Lin Yi. She didn't want to call out Lin Yi's name, fearing that the walls might have ears. I'm fine. I was heavily injured just now. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. An Earth class. I'd be lucky if I didn't die in his hands. That's right. Lingshan and Yutian froze at the same time. This was Lin Yi. Anyone else, even if they were Mystic Late Phase Peak, would be considered weak in the eyes of an Earth class? How could they escape? Not to mention that they'd be able to bargain with an Earth class. Lingshan and Yutian couldn't help but admire Lin Yi's performance. Other than Lin Yi, there really wasn't anyone else who could do this as a mystic. Then can you still go to the tomb tomorrow? Lingshan asked worriedly. It's fine, I'll be fine after a night's rest. Lin Yi smiled. Let's go, hold me and bring me back quickly, don't let anyone see us. Okay. Lingshan nodded and quickly helped Lin Yi back to his tent with Yutian on his left and right. Elder Yu, on the other hand, was in a rush to find a place to heal. He wasn't in the mood to stay and observe Lin Yi. He found a dark spot and sat down cross-legged, starting to cultivate. Not long after sitting down, however, Elder Yu's phone rang. He thought it was the hidden House Yu, but it was the common House Yu's number. Hello. Elder Yu picked up without hesitation. Shueishing, is that you? Big brother, it's me. Shueishing said quickly. Big brother, you're out of House Yu now, right? How was it? Did the mission go smoothly? It didn't go very smoothly. There was a young mystic, but it was very strange. He actually injured me. Elder Yu said. Shueishing, didn't I tell you not to call me as you please? This mission is a secret and I only told you about it. But even so, it's better if we don't contact each other. If the Arbitration Association finds out, the hidden House Yu will be punished. Is that so, big brother? Then after you're done here, you can't come back to House Yu to support us? Shueishing was a bit disappointed. Our common House Yu has been going downhill ever since you left. If you don't come back to scare those bastards, we won't be able to keep our position in the Noble House meeting. No, I already said that I came out in secret. If the Arbitration Association finds out, there'll be a lot of trouble. I can't show my face in public. Elder Yu said. Not only will this affect the hidden House Yu, but it'll also affect myself. Chapter 1351. If I complete the mission given to me by the hidden House Yu, then they'll help me submit an application to the council, and I'll be able to participate in the noble house meeting and watch over House Yu. Elder Yu said, but not this time. That's fine. Shueishing nodded. Why don't you kill that Lin Yi first? He's the one who killed third brother. I'll see. If this mission goes well, I'll go to Songshan to look for Lin Yi, and if I find him I'll kill him on the way. If I don't have enough time then we'll have to wait for the next time. Elder Yu said. That's the only way. Big brother, I won't disturb you anymore, Shueishing said. After hanging up, Elder Yu frowned and cursed in his heart. Lin Yi, this old man will take your life one day. But to Elder Yu, the biggest enemy right now was that male thief of the mystic class. This man was troublesome for Elder Yu. Since when did common world tomb robbers become this strong? They were too strong. In Lin Yi's tent, Lin Yi sat down cross-legged as soon as he entered, using every second to heal himself. Lingshan and Yuqian looked at each other. They both had some questions they wanted to ask Lin Yi, but they knew that this wasn't the best time, so they chose to stay silent, protecting Lin Yi from both sides. Tonight was perhaps the most dangerous night for Lin Yi. Yesterday it was Lin Yi who protected them, and tonight they'd protect Lin Yi. Lin Yi entered the Jade Space in a hurry to train, but it wasn't the kind that forced him into the Jade Space when he was injured or unconscious, so Lin Yi could still sense what was going on outside. Seeing Lingshan and Yuqian protecting him, Lin Yi felt a warmth in his heart. In the blink of an eye the night passed. This morning Lin Yi didn't wake up as early as usual, opening his eyes very late. Lingshan and Yuqian, on the other hand, stayed up all night guarding Lin Yi. Luckily they were people who often stayed up late, and they were golden class late phase peak as well, so it wasn't too much of a problem for them to stay up all night. There were sounds of people waking up, but no one came to Lin Yi's tent to wake Lin Yi up. Lin Yi's performance yesterday had already shocked Old Hay and the others, and Old Hay wouldn't be stupid enough to get someone to wake Lin Yi. Plus, Mr. Yu didn't show up, so what was the point of calling Lin Yi? 10 in the morning Lin Yi walked out of his tent. Lin Yi was full of energy now, without any signs of injury. Elder Yu came late as well. He was a practitioner genius, but the chi here was too sparse. Even deep in the mountains, Elder Yu's right hand hadn't healed yet, and he was still wrapped in bandages. Can we go now? Elder Yu said faintly. Let's go. Lin Yi didn't say anything and walked towards the cliff. Old Hay, James and Xiaoka took the simple lift, while Lin Yi, Lingshan and Yuqian followed Elder Yu, jumping down the cliff to the thieves' cave. Elder Yu looked at Lingshan and Yuqian, who came down with Lin Yi, and his eyes narrowed. He didn't think that the female thief and follower of the couple were golden class late phase peak as well. This tomb raiding group wasn't simple at all. Elder Yu came to the hidden house from the common world. Naturally he knew that golden class masters were rare in the common world. In this group of grave robbers, having a golden class master like Mr. Chiu yesterday was already a miracle, but this couple actually had 3 practitioners. No wonder the couple only came out with a small number of people, and weren't afraid of people taking advantage of them. They were all practitioners, especially that male thief. He was a thorn that couldn't be touched. If you touched him, you'd stab yourself until your hands were covered in blood. The male thief is not simple after all. The people beside him are practitioners as well, and they're all golden class late phase peak, just one step away from mystic. Elder Yu said faintly. Thanks for the compliment. Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything else. Old Hay, James and Xiaoka got on the elevator one after another, but this time they didn't bring any helpers with them. They knew very well that their helpers were nothing in Elder Yu's eyes. Even against Lin Yi it was like cutting a watermelon, 1 slash for each. And so, Old Hay didn't even call for his helpers, because even if they came, they wouldn't be able to fight against Elder Yu. This time the searchlight didn't malfunction. Last time the searchlight had malfunctioned halfway, and now that they thought about it, it was Old Hao's doing. He was the only one who could mess with the equipment first. The group successfully arrived at the mechanism at the entrance of the underground palace. They did not take the wrong path like yesterday. The entrance to the underground palace was also blown up by explosives. Obviously it was the work of the tomb robber. As for whether he had entered the underground palace or not, it was unknown. At least it could not be seen on the surface. It's here. Old Hay saw the entrance to the underground palace that had been blown open and couldn't help but exclaim in joy. There was a rock blocking that way before. Clearly the person who blew up the thief's hole realized that there was something wrong with that path, so he blocked it with a rock. The real thief's hole is here. The group looked at where Old Hay was pointing at, and saw that there was a roulette on the stone door, similar to the combination lock on a safe. On the stone door there were traces of explosives, probably the work of the tomb raider. However, it was obvious that the material used for this stone door was unusually strong. Ordinary explosives couldn't destroy the stone door at all. However, they didn't dare to use explosives that were too strong. After all, this ancient tomb was excavated inside the mountain. If explosives that were too strong were to be used, it might directly cause the mountain to collapse. Even if the stone door was destroyed, the passage would also collapse, and everyone would be buried alive inside. It's this stone door. I've done a lot of research and I know how to open it, but I don't know if it'll work, Old Hay said humbly. In fact, he said this because he had a certain degree of confidence. After all, this was only the first step and it was relatively easy. Then why don't you try it? Elder Yu said impatiently. Chapter 1352. Yes. Old Hay smiled bitterly in his heart, but nodded on the outside. He was the first one to break the mechanism because he wanted to prove to Lin Yi that he was a capable man, and that he didn't need to rely on Lin Yi to enter the underground palace. This way he would have the upper hand when it came to the final deal. What Elder Yu wanted, Old Hay didn't even dare think about it. It was like stealing food from a tiger's mouth, and those things weren't that useful to Old Hay anymore. Chi-gathering pills, medical notebooks, these were all flashy and useless. He couldn't really sell them, so he didn't really need them. But when Lin Yi asked for the 50%, it made Old Hay's heart ache. After Lin Yi left yesterday, he and James had been scheming for a while, and both of them felt that it was unfair. If it was just one person they might be able to hold it in, but both of them had different thoughts in their hearts, and so they decided to work together. The more people there were, the braver they were. The two of them wondered if they could find a chance to kill Lin Yi in the tomb. They believed that if there was a chance like this, Elder Yu would be more than happy to watch Lin Yi die instead of saving him. This way, Old Hay and James would have all the treasures in the tomb to themselves. Just thinking about it was exciting. If they did this, they'd be able to retire in the future. Even if there wasn't a chance like this, if Old Hay performed well, he'd be able to get more authority, and Lin Yi wouldn't be able to say much then. After all, it was according to work. Old Hay's method was very normal. He used an electronic stethoscope, placed it on the stone door, and then carefully vibrated the two codexes on the door, using the slight difference in sound to decipher the correct password. This method was simple but very practical, especially for ancient mechanisms like this. It was the safest way, and so it was widely used by thieves. Xiaoka naturally knew how to do this, but since Old Hay volunteered, she didn't need to force herself. Half an hour went by in a flash, and Old Hay was still working tirelessly on the passageway. Other than Elder Yu, who seemed a little impatient, the others all had a calm expression on their faces, not surprised at all. James and Xiaoka both knew that this kind of thing required luck, and it was normal for them to fail after a day or two. Lingshan, Yuqian, and Lingshan, on the other hand, were pretending to be a couple, and they were experts in this kind of thing. Naturally, they wouldn't show anything on their faces. Why are you so slow? Can you open it or not? Finally, after 2 hours, Elder Yu asked impatiently. Elder Yu, this is all about luck, it's just a matter of time. Old Hay smiled bitterly. This door's mechanism isn't the highest leveled mechanism, just a normal password. It's easy to open. Then hurry up. Stop dilly-dallying. I'm sleepy. Old house people broke the passageway already. I wouldn't have let you kill him if I'd known. What a piece of trash. Elder Yu said, pissed. Old Hay didn't dare say anything. He lowered his head and continued to break the passageway. 3 hours, 4 hours. Old Hay didn't show any signs of impatience. People in his line of work had enough patience. If he didn't, he'd be dead 1,000 times over. Some mechanisms weren't as safe as this one, and it would be dangerous if he didn't have patience. Elder Yu saw that no one was talking, and he knew that he was an amateur. With a humph, he sat down and started practicing. Lin Yi, Lingshan, and Yuqian, on the other hand, copied Elder Yu and started practicing. The qi in this tomb wasn't as much as in the jade space, but it was still much thicker than in the city. Of course, this was only for Lingshan and Yuqian. Lin Yi could enter the jade space whenever he wanted. Weiwu was in Yuqian's arms the whole time, and now he was on the ground as well. Weiwu was very obedient, lying beside Lin Yi, not bothering about anything else. Elder Yu humphed coldly as he looked at the three practicing as well. Other than the male thief, the other two are too weak. They're progressing too slowly, they're just wasting their time training. From what Elder Yu could see, Lin Yi, Lingshan, and Yuqian were at least in their 30s or 40s. After all, the couple had been active in the tomb raiding world for 10 years. They couldn't be that young. If they were still golden class late phase peak at 40, they wouldn't be able to improve much in the future. You don't have to worry about that. If you don't work hard to get into sky class, you'll die in a few years. Lin Yi said faintly. Elder Yu humphed and didn't say anything else. In the blink of an eye, it was time to eat. After everyone ate some fast food, Blackie went back to work. It wasn't until the sky turned dark that a click came from the stone door. Clearly, Blackie had unlocked the password on the stone door. It's done. As expected, Old Hay called out excitedly. It's open. Why aren't you opening the door? What are you waiting for? Elder Yu stood up when he heard Old Hay open the stone door. Seeing that he wasn't doing anything else, he urged impatiently. Elder Yu, we don't know if there are any hidden mechanisms behind the door, so if we just open it? Old Hay was speechless. Talking to an outsider was really tiring. Look at the others, why was he in such a rush? Why don't you try, Elder? If I knew how to do this, why would I need you juniors? Elder Yu was prideful, but he wasn't an idiot. He wouldn't do something as dangerous as this. Helping out on the way was just an excuse to make his robbery seem more honorable. Old Hay smiled bitterly and turned to Xiaoka. Flying Sparrow, your Qinggong is really good. I'll leave the opening of the mechanism to you. The 10% he paid Xiaoka wasn't for nothing. Naturally, he'd let Xiaoka do the work when there was a problem. Xiaoka nodded solemnly. She'd been prepared for this since the beginning. In the tomb, she had to be the one doing the dangerous stuff. Otherwise, she wouldn't get such a great benefit. That was 10% of the profits. There was no free lunch in this world, so Xiaoka didn't say much and walked carefully to the stone door. Chapter 1353. But Xiaoka was different. Lin Yi knew her situation and why she was earning money. In Lin Yi's heart, she was a friend, and naturally he didn't want anything to happen to her. Luckily, the jade on him had an auto-grouping function, and within a certain range, anyone that Lin Yi accepted would be able to alert him. So when Xiaoka touched the stone door, Lin Yi didn't feel any alarm from the jade. He let out a sigh of relief and didn't interfere with Xiaoka, standing there coldly. Xiaoka evidently didn't know that there was no danger behind the door, and when everyone moved away, Xiaoka pulled the door open and quickly retreated to the tunnel that she went through yesterday. The stone door opened, but there was no movement inside. There was no poisonous gas or arrows, nor were there any demons or ghosts. There was only some old dust and a damp, moldy smell swirling in the air. No problem. Old Hay shone his searchlight for a while. Someone went in here before, and there are some used arrows on the ground. They must have activated the mechanism before, so there shouldn't be any danger after we activate it again. Don't be weird, didn't we see someone go in before? Elder Yu humphed. Then why aren't we going in now? Old Hay nodded and said to Xiaoka, you go first. Xiaoka was a bit troubled. It wasn't easy to earn money, and she was here to be the vanguard. If she didn't do something, she'd become cannon fodder. But there was no other choice, she had to earn money first. Lin Yi didn't say anything and followed behind Xiaoka. If anything happened to her, Lin Yi could protect her immediately. General Wei Wu followed behind Lin Yi, followed by Lingshan and Yu Tian. Old Hay naturally wouldn't say anything about Lin Yi leading the way. The more he walked, the more dangerous it would be. He just followed behind. Previously, when they explored the tomb, they only managed to reach the entrance of the underground palace. As for the interior of the underground palace, it was unknown. After entering the entrance, the air was much thinner, and this had something to do with the stone door being closed. Lin Yi and the others were practitioners, so it wasn't a problem, but Old Hay and James had prepared oxygen tanks in case of emergencies. The passageway of the underground palace was still the same as when they first entered. It was rugged and twisted. One moment it seemed to be climbing a slope, and the next moment it seemed to be going downhill. Sometimes it was to the left and sometimes it was to the right. However, there were no more forks like before. This made everyone feel slightly relieved. At least, there was no possibility of them going astray. However, the only thing that made everyone feel uneasy was that the passageways in this underground palace seemed to be endless. They walked carefully, on the other hand, looking out for traps and forks. Their walking speed wasn't that slow, but after walking for more than an hour, they still couldn't see an exit. What's going on? We've been walking for so long, why aren't we there yet? Elder Yu's voice sounded. This path should be an S shape and it's spiraling downwards. Logically speaking, with our walking speed, we should be able to reach the foot of the mountain, but we're still not there. This means that the path was purposely made like this, to make people feel a sense of fear. Xiaoka explained. This wasn't a rare thing for people who often raided tombs. Some tombs were built as weirdly looking as possible. The more weird it was, the safer it was. Elder Yu nodded. If that's the case, then let's hurry. When are we going to reach the end of this? If you think it's too slow, then lead the way or shut up. Lin Yi turned to look at Elder Yu coldly. You. Elder Yu was a little pissed off. He wanted to lead the way, but who knew if there was any danger? Although he was an Earth-rank master, the difference in professions was like the difference in mountains. If he didn't react in time and died in the tomb, wouldn't that be a huge loss? Plus, if he dared to move on his own, he wouldn't need Lin Yi's help. Wouldn't it be better if he went first? He wouldn't have to worry about the profit distribution. Elder Yu, it's better to be safe than sorry. Since we're already in here, it's only a matter of time before we reach the palace. There's no need to rush. Old He said. Elder Yu didn't say anything, and the group continued walking along the path. After walking another 10 kilometers, Old He and James were starting to get tired. Xiaoke wasn't a golden class yet, but her qigong was top-notch. Walking a bit more wasn't a problem at all. Lin Yi, Lingshan, Yutian, and even Wei Wu were all practitioners. Naturally, they wouldn't feel tired. It's about time, let's rest here for a bit before continuing? Old He really couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to eat and drink some water. You bastard, just 2 steps and you're tired? Elder Yu was an impatient man. Seeing that Old He wanted to rest, he wasn't too happy. Lin Yi really wondered how this guy got to Earth class in the first place. Why didn't he go crazy and die from training? His luck was really good. On the path of practicing, one had to have a stable temperament. Being too impatient could cause one to go crazy. Then let's rest for a bit. Lin Yi didn't care about what Elder Yu was saying. He stopped walking and sat down cross-legged. Elder Yu was really pissed off, and with a humph he stopped as well. Old He and James looked at Lin Yi gratefully, but only they knew if it was real or fake. After resting for a while, it was already evening, and after dinner, it was about time to sleep. Naturally, they couldn't continue walking anymore. Lin Yi, on the other hand, sat down cross-legged, ready to rest. This pissed Elder Yu off. You're a mystic, what the hell are you sleeping for? It's fine even if you can last a few days, aren't you just messing with us? If Lin Yi didn't leave, no one could leave, and Old He and James didn't want to leave either. They were both normal people, and naturally they needed to rest at night. Elder Yu had no choice but to sit down and start practicing. The qi in the tomb was more abundant, but it wasn't as good as the hidden house use, so Elder Yu didn't have much of a desire to practice here. Chapter 1354. Even for practitioners like Lin Yi and Elder Yu, their eyesight was better than normal people and they could see things at night, but they could only see things with weak light like the weak moonlight. If it was completely dark, then even an Earth class like Elder Yu wouldn't be able to do anything. Only a Sky class could do it. And so, Elder Yu couldn't just focus on his training, he had to stay alert at all times. These people dared to sleep, but Elder Yu didn't. Who knew what was in this tomb? What if it came out suddenly and he couldn't react in time? Looking at Old He and James who were fast asleep, Elder Yu was even more pissed. Did he become their bodyguard? But he really had to protect these people. Elder Yu didn't know anything about the traps in the tomb, and if these people died he wouldn't be able to go in himself. He could only retreat. Lin Yi naturally couldn't see anything in the dark, so he closed his eyes and entered the jade space to train. He had the jade to send out warning signals, so he wasn't afraid of any problems. But, when Lin Yi entered the jade space, he was pleasantly surprised to find that he could clearly sense everything around him. He could see the people around him as well as everything in the passageway. It was as clear as daylight, without any obstructions at all. Lin Yi was shocked. Before, when Lin Yi entered the jade space, he could also sense the food around him, but that was when there was light around him. It had never been completely dark like this, so Lin Yi didn't mind. After all, for a practitioner like Lin Yi, as long as there was weak light, he could see things. But in this state of complete darkness, he could still sense everything around him in the jade space. This was probably another golden finger of the jade, it was just that he didn't notice it before. With this, Lin Yi could train in peace. Songshan Jiangwen's house. Jiangwen wasn't used to the sudden destruction of the arena. His days of earning money were way too carefree. It was even faster than the kidney trafficking company. Jiangwen didn't even want to sell kidneys anymore once he got used to the days where he could earn a lot of money. It was too troublesome and he'd have to find another one. How fast can boxing make money? As a result, Jiangwen had been thinking of new ways to earn money these days. But the heavens didn't disappoint those who worked hard, and Jiangwen really did come up with a way to earn money without any investment. Of course, this was also the result of a sudden inspiration while chatting with Professor Yin. Professor Yin was an expert in human biochemistry. He specialized in studying the potential of the human body and so on. 2 days ago he mentioned a research topic which was to erase a person's thoughts and turn them into a walking corpse. Through hypnosis, the walking corpse would be able to carry out the instructions. This research topic didn't have much use at first, but Jiangwen was able to find a business opportunity in just a blink of an eye. The business opportunity was very simple: robbery. Robbing banks, robbing gold shops, robbing wherever there was money. As long as Professor Ian could create such an obedient zombie, he could give him an order to rob in his mind and let him rob everywhere he went. It didn't matter if it happened, he'd just give it up. The person's mind was filled with instructions, and he'd already turned into an idiot. Jianghu wasn't worried about dragging him into this at all. Of course, just a walking corpse alone wouldn't do. He didn't have a strong body, and he might not be able to escape even if he robbed someone. So, Jianghu suggested that the professor give the walking corpse a shot of the medicine that increased the limits of the human body. That way there wouldn't be any problems. After coming up with this plan, Jianghu felt that he was a genius. He immediately reported it to his father and Mingyue, and through him he reported it to the firewolves. Now all he had to do was wait for the firewolves' reply. Playing with Mingyue's picture in his hand, hatred flashed across Jianghu's eyes. During the auction at Songshan's auction, he'd clearly been tricked by Yushu and Xiao Xiao, making him buy a bunch of broken glass. This made Jianghu hate Lin Yi even more. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi's bid was just an act to trick him. He didn't believe that Lin Yi didn't know about it. What? I don't care if you have anything to do with Mingyao or not, I'll play you to death this time. Jianghu smiled coldly. When the firewolves agree to my plan, it'll be the day you die. You won't be able to defend yourself then. Ah. Lin Yi, who was training in the tomb, sneezed all of a sudden. The temperature in the tomb wasn't high, but it wasn't too cold either. Especially for a practitioner like Lin Yi, he wouldn't feel cold at all. Lin Yi found it strange that he sneezed. What was wrong with him? Who was thinking about him? Of course, Lin Yi didn't know that Jianghu was planning a new money-making plan, one that involved him as well. The night passed peacefully, and the next morning, everyone woke up according to their biological clocks. The tomb was still pitch black. Old Hay and James slept soundly. They'd both reached their limits yesterday, and with a master like Elder Yu as their bodyguard, it was only natural that they had a good rest. After a simple bite of compressed biscuits and canned food, everyone got up and started walking again. It was the same as yesterday, rugged and endless. But this time, after walking for about 2 hours, there was a fork in the path ahead, just like the wrong path at the entrance of the underground palace. Xiaoka stopped, and Old Hay and James frowned as well. It wasn't that they hadn't encountered forks in the underground palace before, but this was the first time they had encountered such a situation after walking for such a long time. Which way? Xiaoka turned around and asked. Let's study it together, don't rush. Old Hay knew that this wasn't the time to rush. They could only rely on calm analysis. But now, in Lin Yi's mind, the information Wuxia gave him appeared. In the information it was indeed mentioned that on the way to the underground palace, there might be a fork in the road. Chapter 1355. Of course, it wasn't as simple as being impassable. There were forks in this path and forks within forks. It was very likely that one would get lost inside, but there wasn't any danger. If one wanted to come out, they could only go back the way they came. Otherwise, no matter which fork they chose, they would be stuck in a loop inside. Elder Yu frowned, but didn't say anything. There was nothing he could do in a situation like this. There's no difference between the two paths. Jim? Xiaoka was about to say that there was no difference between the two paths, but when Old Hay pulled the light closer, he saw that there were some words written on the walls with chalk, or rather, irregular code names. There's writing here. Lingshan saw the symbols on the wall as well. Perhaps it's a code left behind by the tomb robbers. Old Hay walked over as well, nodding. But forgive my poor eyesight, what do these symbols mean? Blackie was a veteran grave robber in the thief sect, but he had never seen the symbols on the walls before. I've never seen it before either. James shook his head after looking at it. He wasn't as knowledgeable as Old Hay, so he couldn't see anything. Male thief, aren't you very good? You were able to walk the right path before, why aren't you talking now? Elder Yu turned to Lin Yi. Young one, if you bring us in, you'll get a lot of benefits. Lin Yi didn't say anything because Lin Yi wasn't sure which path he could take. Lin Yi stood in front of the two passageways, and the jade didn't send out any warning signals in one of them. This meant that there was no danger in there. The other path, on the other hand, had a strong warning signal, meaning that it was very dangerous. According to common sense, Lin Yi would definitely choose the path that didn't have any warning signals, but Wuxia's information made Lin Yi hesitate. The first path had no danger, so wasn't it the dead end that Wuxia was talking about? There wasn't any danger, but it wouldn't work. The other dangerous path was obviously not a dead end because there was no danger in the dead end. For a moment, Lin Yi found it difficult to make a decision. After all, if he didn't choose the safe dead end, he could only choose the dangerous path. This was equivalent to going into the tiger's den despite knowing that there was a tiger in the mountain. This path isn't dangerous, but I'm afraid it's a dead end, Lin Yi said as he pointed at the path that was not dangerous. He then pointed at the path beside it. This path has a very strong sense of danger, but it should be the right path, because the path to the underground palace will not be smooth sailing. What do you guys think? Elder Yu asked Old Hay after hearing what Lin Yi said. That. Old Hay was actually leaning towards the safe path first. After all, even if there was no danger, it wouldn't be too late to turn back. This was the safer way. He hesitated. Since there's no danger, why don't we take a look? If it doesn't work, we'll take another path. Okay, you go then, I'll wait for you here, Lin Yi said faintly. If there's anything in there, I won't take a dime, I'll give it all to you. Lin Yi felt that Wuxia had no reason to lie to him. They were only friends, there was no conflict of interest, so Lin Yi couldn't be bothered to walk with them. Let's go take a look then. Elder Yu's eyes lit up. Lin Yi's words made sense, but nothing was absolute. What if this path was the right one? Lin Yi wasn't a god, he couldn't predict the future. Even without Lin Yi's participation, he could easily get what he wanted. So Elder Yu didn't even think about it before he agreed. With Elder Yu's approval, Old Hay and James still chose to explore the path, although they didn't have the support of the couple. In order to prevent getting lost, they chose to scatter lime powder along the way to mark the path so that they could return safely. Xiaoko was hired by Old Hay and naturally she had to follow him. Lin Yi didn't stop her since there was no danger in there at all. As long as they marked the path, it'd just be a wasted walk. Old Hay and the others took the searchlight, and after they left, Lin Yi could only turn it on and put it aside. The light wasn't as bright as before, but Lin Yi didn't go far. What do we do now? Lingshan whispered to Lin Yi after Old Hay and the others left. Sit here and train, wait for them to come back, they probably won't be back for a day or two. Lin Yi said mockingly, curling his lips. In Lu Bujia's information, it was mentioned that this path was dug using the gaps between the underground palace's main passageway. It was intricate and complicated. It would take at least a day or two before anyone would realize that they had taken the wrong path. Are you sure that path is the wrong one? Lingshan asked, worried. Probably. Lin Yi smiled. It wasn't that he trusted Lu Bujia, but it was impossible for there to be no danger on the way to the underground palace. There was clearly something wrong with that path. Lingshan nodded. This mission is going to be tough. Do you have confidence in dealing with that Elder Yu? No. Lin Yi said straightforwardly. But if he takes the medical notes and doesn't give it to me, I'll have to fight him to the death. Lin Yi's eyes flashed with decision. The medical notes were Xiao Xiao's only hope. No matter how strong the opponent was, Lin Yi had to fight him. You came with us just for the medical notes? Lingshan didn't understand why Lin Yi would change his mind all of a sudden. He said he wouldn't come, but he changed his mind right before they left. It really was for the medical notes. The higher-ups should be able to find a cure for Xiao Xiao's illness. Lin Yi didn't hide it. There was no need to hide things like this. I see. Lingshan nodded enviously. She felt that Feng Xiaoxiao was very blessed and Lin Yi treated her like this. Even if she couldn't come back to life, she'd still be happy. Chapter 1356. Although he had his ultimate skill, the energy bomb, that was a killer move that killed 1,000 enemies and himself at the cost of 800. But compressing the energy required time, and he was afraid that Elder Yu wouldn't give him the time to compress the energy. If Lingshan and Yu Qian could help him buy some time, then it'd be easier, but these two were just too weak. Golden class. They were late phase peak, but in front of an Earth class, they were one-side instant kills wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, even so, it's all thanks to you or else we'd be even weaker. Yu Qian shook his head in self-mockery and smiled bitterly. If we were both mystic class masters, even if we were at the early phase, we'd be able to help you fight against him. That's right. I have an ultimate move and you guys probably heard about it from Elder Yu, it's called Qi Bomb. In other words, I compress the Qi in my body and release it the moment I throw it out to create a powerful explosion. But the prerequisite to using this move is that I need enough time to compress the Qi. Lin Yi said, if you guys could help me by some time, I might be able to heavily injure Elder Yu, but Yu Qian and Lingshan did hear about Lin Yi's Qi Bomb from Elder Yu, but this was related to other people's arts. They didn't ask about it, just like how Yu Qian wouldn't ask Lingshan about House Song's arts. Even if they were friends and teammates, they couldn't ask about it. There were rules in the world of martial arts and every sect and house had their own rules. These secrets were only known to people within the sect or house. Why don't we risk our lives and buy some time for you? Yu Tian said after a sigh. If you guys were mystic early phase then I'd agree. After all, it's 2 against 1, and as long as you guys work together, it'll be fine even if you get hurt. I can heal you guys later. Lin Yi waved his hand and rejected. But you guys are too weak and you'll be killed in 1 hit. I can't put you guys in danger just to save Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao's my girlfriend, but you guys are my good friends. You're all the same in my heart, I can't let you guys take the risk. Qin Yuqian was touched by Lin Yi's words. It seemed like Lin Yi still valued him in his heart. Ling Shan, on the other hand, felt a little wronged. She was his girlfriend, alright? I don't want to be a good friend. Why is she mine and not mine? Can I remove the handle? Little Miss Song begged pitifully. Lin Yi paused, not understanding what Ling Shan was talking about. Can't you remove the good friend from good? Ling Shan explained helplessly. Remove the neutron from the word good? Lin Yi repeated and couldn't help but laugh. Heh, are you okay or not? Ling Shan was starting to get impatient after Lin Yi didn't say anything. Let's not talk about this, I'm not in the mood to think about this, we'll talk about it after we get out of here alive. Lin Yi waved his hand, rejecting Ling Shan's suggestion. Ling Shan was quite troubled. If it were any other girl, they'd be really embarrassed after a failed confession, but Ling Shan was used to it. She was just a little annoyed. Fine, I'll risk my life to get the medical notes for you. Ling Shan felt that Lin Yi wasn't as nice to her as he was to Xiaoka. My talent's too bad anyway, I can't level up as fast as you, so I'll have to risk my life. Not as fast as me. Lin Yi's eyes lit up after a brief pause. Lin Yi remembered the last time he broke through. He used compressed chi to force his breakthrough, so if he could do it, could Ling Shan and Yu Qian do the same? Both of them were golden class late phase peak, just 1 step away from mystic early phase. As long as they had enough energy, it wouldn't be hard for them to level up on the spot. Ling Shan was getting goosebumps from Lin Yi's stare. She thought that Lin Yi found her pretty at first, so she was a little shy. But after a while she started getting goosebumps. Yo, why are you looking at me like that? You're not going to eat me, are you? You're golden class late phase peak now. If you absorb a little more chi, you'll be able to break through to mystic early phase? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, but the chi in the air is a little thin right now and the amount of chi is too little. Plus, it's not that easy to break through the bottleneck. Sometimes you want to absorb more chi and turn it into chi, but you just can't absorb that much. Just a little bit isn't enough. Ling Shan nodded. Ling Shan's description wasn't very accurate, but Lin Yi understood that it was similar to his own situation. It could be said that every practitioner's situation was similar when they broke through, and it was because of this that Lin Yi wanted to give it a try. If he could do it, could other people do it too? But this method was too dangerous and Lin Yi couldn't make a decision right now. And so, he decided to give the choice to Ling Shan and Yu Tian. I have a method that allows you to absorb a lot more chi than you normally absorb at the same time, but there's a certain amount of danger. Lin Yi explained seriously, this is similar to a chi bomb. I'll compress the chi and let you absorb it into your body, releasing it in your body. This way you'll break through to mystic. This method works for me, but I'm not sure if it works for you guys. If it doesn't work, I'm not sure what the consequences will be. Ling Shan and Yu Tian understood Lin Yi's words. They looked at each other and saw the desire in each other's eyes. This was the temptation of mystic. A mystic class master was a top-notch existence for an ordinary noble house. Once a mystic class master appeared in the younger generation of the Song family or the Qin family, it would be of great significance. In the upcoming meeting of the noble houses, they would also have the right to speak. Even House Yu would have to give way to House Qin and House Song. But there's a price to pay, and they understood what Lin Yi meant. If it worked, everyone would be happy, but if it didn't, it was hard to say what would happen. Chapter 1357. Ling Shan, I'll go first. No problem, you won't blame me for going first, will you? Yu Qian said as he looked at Ling Shan. He was a man, how could he show weakness at a time like this? If that's the case, I won't fight with you, I'll let you be a real man. Ling Shan smiled. I wouldn't look down on you if you were as decisive as you are now. It's all in the past. I changed because of Lin Yi's influence. Yu Qian smiled. Alright Lin Yi, I'm ready, let's start. Alright, let's start then. Lin Yi didn't say anything. Yu Qian and Ling Shan were adults, and they knew what they were doing. Lin Yi didn't say much either. I'll tell you to start the practitioner's arts later. No problem. Yu Qian sat cross-legged, ready. Lin Yi didn't compress too much of his chi. He estimated the amount he used when he broke through from golden class to mystic. It was fine as long as it was enough, too much would make him explode. Done. Lin Yi quickly finished compressing the energy. This wasn't a bomb, so he didn't need to compress too much. Yu Qian channeled his practitioner's arts, but he couldn't absorb Lin Yi's qi. He was confused. It wasn't like this before. The last time he was able to absorb Lin Yi's qi, he was able to absorb Lin Yi's qi very smoothly. Yuqian tried again but he still failed. He couldn't help but be confused. What's wrong? Lin Yi didn't feel Yuqian absorbing the energy. Instead, he saw the confused look on Yuqian's face. I don't think I can absorb qi from you, Yuqian said after trying again. Oh. Lin Yi frowned, remembering the bottleneck between him and Yuqian. He was a mystic, and once Yuqian reached Golden Class late phase peak, he wouldn't be able to absorb energy from him. This bottleneck couldn't be changed. With that thought, Lin Yi felt dejected and dejected. Lin Yi thought that he could use this trick on Yuqian and Lingshan, but it failed. He got his energy through the jade space and there was no level restriction. But Yuqian and Lingshan were different. They were using themselves as a medium to get their energy, so there was a bottleneck. But Lin Yi wasn't willing to give up. He finally thought of a way to deal with Elder Yu, but it didn't work. Seeing Lin Yi's expression, Qin Yuqian knew that Lin Yi was in trouble. He didn't dare to disturb Lin Yi and just sat quietly at the side. Elder Jiao, is there no way to break through this bottleneck? Lin Yi shifted his hope to Elder Jiao. How can there be such a good thing? You're invincible with the jade space and you want someone else to use it? Are all the good things going to you? Jiao Lao shook his head, denying Lin Yi's idea. Then there's no other way? Lin Yi knew the answer, but he still didn't want to give up. You brat, you only know how to find trouble for me, let me think. Jiao Lao knew the severity of the situation, and although he sounded unhappy, he was really thinking of a way for Lin Yi. Right, this bottleneck only works for people below Golden Class late phase peak, right? Yeah, that's where the bottleneck is, Lin Yi nodded. Then there's a way you can try it, it's the only way I can think of. Jiao Yazi sighed. Let him waste some pure qi and don't cultivate it back, just use the pure qi you give him to cultivate. This way, as long as he doesn't maintain the peak of Golden Class late phase peak, he should be able to use your pure qi. At that time you just need to compress the energy and it should work. But the dosage needs to be a bit bigger. Yeah. Lin Yi heard Jiao Yazi's method and he was overjoyed. This was a good idea. Lin Yi quickly said to Yuqian bro, waste some pure qi first, don't recover it or my pure qi won't work on you. Okay. Yuqian didn't ask much and he followed Lin Yi's instructions. He stood up, channeled his inner force and started punching the stone wall. Yuqian didn't use much of his pure qi these days, and the only time he used it was when he jumped off the cliff. After that, he cultivated in the tomb for a whole night, and his body was full of pure qi. Alright, that's enough, just use a little. Lin Yi waited for a while and signaled to Yuqian, telling him to stop. Yuqian stopped punching and returned to Lin Yi's side. Without waiting for Lin Yi to speak, he sat cross-legged beside Lin Yi and channeled his inner force. This time, a miracle happened. Lin Yi's compressed energy was successfully transferred into Yuqian's body, and in the next moment, Yuqian's face turned into the color of a pig's liver, and it was horrifying. Ah! Yuqian roared and his eyes were red. He felt as if his body was going to explode and it was unbearable. But Yuqian knew that this was the sign of a breakthrough, and it was just a little more painful than normal breakthroughs. It was like forcing a seedling to grow to help it grow, but it wasn't too harsh. Lin Yi had experienced this pain once and he wasn't worried at all. As long as the energy entered Yuqian's body, he wouldn't be far from breaking through, so Lin Yi wasn't worried at all. Instead, he was happy. It seemed like this method worked. In other words, every time he leveled up, he would be able to create masters who were on the same level as him. Although Lin Yi wouldn't be able to help them after breaking through, even if they were at the early phase of mystic class, they would still be of great help to Lin Yi. At the very least, it was much more useful than the useless golden tier. Will he be okay? Lingshan was scared by Yuqian's appearance and asked worriedly. He's fine, he's about to break through? Lin Yi looked at Yuqian, whose face and body were all red, and suddenly yelled, Shit! What's wrong? Lingshan paused. Turn your head first, I have to help him take off his clothes. Otherwise, when he breaks through, his clothes will be torn to shreds. Lin Yi recalled the scene of his breakthrough. He'd done it in the jade space, so while his clothes had been destroyed, it was just a virtual thing, not real. Chapter 1358. Ah. Lingshan blushed and turned her head away. Lingshan wasn't a shy person, especially because of her profession. She didn't really care about stuff like that, but in front of Lin Yi, she couldn't help but act like a little girl. Lin Yi didn't bother with Lingshan and quickly walked to Yuqian's side, helping him take off his clothes. Otherwise, Yuqian's clothes would explode into pieces the moment he broke through. It wouldn't be easy to explain when old Hei and the others came back. Besides, even if he didn't explain, he couldn't let Yuqian walk around the tomb naked. He could only help him take it off first and put it back on after he broke through. Yuqian was on the verge of breaking through, but he could still hear Lin Yi's words. Naturally, he cooperated when Lin Yi helped him take off his clothes. The qi in the tomb wasn't as abundant as the jade space, but it was a lot more than the city. Yuqian had absorbed enough qi from Lin Yi to level up, so he didn't really care about the qi outside. Even so, the qi in the tomb was still activated, circling around Yuqian's body. This was something Lin Yi had experienced before, so Lin Yi wasn't in a rush. After helping him take off his clothes, he sat quietly and waited. A few hours passed, and the qi around Yuqian was getting stronger and stronger. Finally he broke through. In fact, this result was within Lin Yi's expectations, but the moment Yuqian broke through, Lin Yi let out a long breath of relief, a relaxed smile on his face. It seemed like his plan worked. If Yuqian could level up, then so could Lingshan. I broke through. Lin Yi, I really broke through, I'm a mystic now. Yuqian jumped up after a short rest, running to Lin Yi and Lingshan. Lingshan, I'm really a mystic early phase. Really? Lingshan turned around happily, but her face darkened when she saw Yuqian's naked body. What are you doing? Do you want to run around naked? Yuqian paused, then realized that he wasn't wearing a single piece of clothing. He was too excited before and now he realized embarrassed. I'm sorry. I'll go get dressed now. Lingshan couldn't see it clearly, but she was still pissed off, especially since she was looking at another man in front of Lin Yi. She humphed and turned her head away, ignoring Yuqian. Alright, since there's no problem with the test, you can get dressed on the side, I'll level Lingshan up a bit. Lin Yi said. After making sure that this method worked, he started working on Lingshan. Making Yuqian took about 5 hours, and Lin Yi couldn't estimate when Old Hay and the others would be back, so he had to hurry. Lin Yi wasn't afraid of Elder Yu ambushing him at this time, but the problem was that Lingshan had to take off her clothes as well. Yuqian was fine, but Lingshan was a girl, and it wouldn't be good if other people saw her. Do I have to take off my clothes too? Lingshan looked at Lin Yi, blushing. Yeah, this time you really have to. Lin Yi joked with a smile. He didn't tell her to take off her clothes when he leveled her up, but she insisted. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile at the memory. You're making fun of me? Lingshan glared at Lin Yi. Just take it off, what's the big deal? It's not like I haven't shown you before. Lin Yi had seen her naked long ago in the kidney trafficking organization's prison, and she even called his name shamelessly. She didn't care about that, but she was a little worried about Yuqian. Lingshan didn't care about Lin Yi, and she could let Lin Yi look at her however he wanted, but that didn't mean she was an open person. On the contrary, she was very conservative. Otherwise, she wouldn't have never had a boyfriend before she met Lin Yi. Let's go deeper into that tunnel. Lingshan looked at the other tunnel and suggested to Lin Yi. Just turn off the flashlight. Lin Yi stood up and turned off the flashlight. It was just leveling up anyways, nothing else. It didn't matter if he saw it or not. Lingshan was a little disappointed. She'd wanted to show off her amazing body to him. Lingshan was a girl who practiced martial arts, so her body was very well maintained. Not only was her body well proportioned, but her skin was very supple as well. This was the only thing she was proud of. She was much better than Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao. Otherwise, she wouldn't have much of an advantage in terms of looks. Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao were on par with her. You can look. Lingshan said, unwilling to give up. Lin Yi was speechless. Wasn't this seduction a little too obvious? But Lin Yi was already used to Lingshan's behavior. He scolded impatiently, don't talk so much, time is limited. When Old Hay comes back, he'll see everything. I won't want you then. Okay. Lin Yi's words were quite forceful. Lingshan was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't want her anymore, and so she quickly took off her clothes in the dark, waiting for Lin Yi to level her up. Lin Yi was a super strong person and Lingshan swore to capture him. It wasn't just because Lin Yi was her type, but also because Lin Yi was just too strong. In other words, as Lin Yi leveled up, so would she. If Lin Yi really stepped into Sky Class one day, then her own Sky Class wouldn't be a dream anymore. Leveling up would be so easy, it was every fighter's dream. Lingshan quickly took off her clothes and stood there with her chest puffed out. She thought, I'll be facing your direction and if you come over and touch me you'll be able to touch my boobs. Maybe you'll even ask to touch me if you feel good then? One had to say in order to seduce Lin Yi, this song girl had already started playing tricks. Lin Yi, I'm dressed. Yuqian spoke up at this time. Alright, just stand there and don't move. You're standing at the entrance to the tunnel Old Hay went through. You'll be the first to notice him when he comes out. Let me know, Lin Yi said. Chapter 1359. When he first came back to Songshan he was still a golden class early phase, now he was one level higher. Yu Tian smiled bitterly. No wonder Lingshan liked Lin Yi so much. If he were Lingshan he'd have to rely on Lin Yi as well. No matter which noble house it was, if they had a good relationship with Lin Yi, then there wouldn't be any problems for them to rise up. As long as Lin Yi was willing to help, it wouldn't be hard for the whole house to be filled with masters. It seemed like he needed to think about House Chen as well. It seemed like his sister and Lin Yi were really close. And it seemed like Lin Yi treated his sister even better than Lingshan. From the looks of it, the Chen family's future hope had fallen onto little sister's shoulders. At the thought, Yu Tian got excited. Once he and Lingshan entered the noble house meeting as mystic early phase, then House Chen and House Song's status would skyrocket. Everyone would think that he and Lingshan were young geniuses. But only Yu Tian knew what was going on with him. Genius? Genius my ass. He relied on his sister to become a genius. In the dark, Lin Yi couldn't see, and so he couldn't pinpoint Lingshan's location. Lin Yi could only see Lingshan when he entered the jade space for a short period of time. When Lin Yi saw Lingshan standing not far from him without any clothes on, he sweated. Lin Yi looked. Lin Yi looked again. Lin Yi sneaked another peek. Lingshan's chest wasn't any smaller than shoes, so pretty. But Lin Yi felt that he shouldn't look too much at this point. Thinking about these things now was a little unfair to Xiao Xiao. Raising Lingshan's strength and fighting Elder Yu together was the right thing to do. Why are you sticking your chest out so high? Are you afraid that I won't be able to touch it? Turn around. Lin Yi scolded. Ah. Lingshan didn't think that Lin Yi would be able to see her, not to mention that Lin Yi had seen her. She couldn't help but blush. What was worse was that Yu Tian wasn't far from her. Didn't he hear everything? Lingshan really wanted to scream at the top of her lungs, but remembering Lin Yi's temper, she turned around obediently. Waste some of your own true qi, Lin Yi said after walking over. Oh. Lingshan nodded and turned around. She channeled her qi and started venting her frustrations on the stone wall, treating it as Lin Yi. She kept punching and kicking it but didn't dare say anything. Alright, that's enough. Stand there and don't move. With that, Lin Yi placed his hand on Lingshan's meridians and started compressing the energy. After a while Lin Yi said to her, Alright, start channeling your practitioner's arts now. It wasn't the first time Lingshan's hand touched her body, but she'd always had her clothes on before. She couldn't help but remember the scene in the kidney trafficking company's prison. Lingshan's body stiffened and she felt hot all of a sudden. She couldn't help but remember the scene in the kidney trafficking company's prison. Lin Yi waited for a while and seeing that Lingshan wasn't reacting, and that her body was getting hotter and hotter, he couldn't help but wonder, what are you doing? Hurry up and start. Lingshan jumped in fright, quickly tossing all those romantic thoughts to the back of her mind and focusing on her practitioner's arts, starting to train. Lingshan's situation and process were basically the same as Yu Tian's. This method of forcefully breaking through was very effective, but the process was a lot more painful than normal. Lingshan was a strong girl and even though it was painful, she gritted her teeth and endured it. She didn't even make a sound and Lin Yi was impressed. The energy had been sent over and the rest was up to Lingshan herself. While Lin Yi was training in the jade space he was also protecting Lingshan. He was paying attention to Lingshan's situation, afraid that she wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. But Lingshan was strong enough and at the same time the qi around her was getting thicker and thicker. Lin Yi knew that this was the sign of a breakthrough. Pho. Lingshan finally let out a long breath, jumping up from the ground. She broke through as well. She'd reached golden class late phase peak earlier than Yu Tian, and so she wanted to break through to mystic even more. How could she not be happy now that she'd broken through? Lingshan jumped up and pounced on Lin Yi, hugging him and kissing him on the cheek. Lin Yi, I love you. I broke through. Lin Yi was a little speechless from Lingshan's actions. He wanted to push her away but at the same time he enjoyed it a little. His impression of the girl was getting better and better. He was a normal person after all and the more he interacted with her, the more he didn't hate her anymore. Lingshan on the other hand was very pretty. In fact, if Lin Yi wanted to be on guard against Lingshan, he could have dodged it completely, but Lin Yi didn't put up any defenses against Lingshan at all. He wanted to push her away but he hesitated, which led to this situation. Alright, put on your clothes, old Hay and the others will be back soon. Lin Yi said faintly. Oh. Lingshan was a little disappointed that Lin Yi didn't seem to have any feelings for her. She let go of Lin Yi and put on her clothes quickly. She was afraid that old Hay would suddenly come back. Lin Yi breathed out in relief. He didn't understand why this girl liked him all of a sudden. Was she a masochist? He was always scolding her and she didn't seem to care? After Ling Shan put on her clothes, Lin Yi turned on his flashlight. Yu Qin walked over and nodded at her, smiling. Congratulations, you broke through as well. Same to you. Ling Shan was back to her normal self in front of Yu Qin. Looks like House Chen will be in the limelight in this noble house meeting. Qin Yu Qin smiled knowingly. You guys rest for a while, I'll study General Wei Wu. Lin Yi said to Ling Shan and Yu Qin. Since Ling Shan and Yu Qin could level up, General Wei Wu should be able to as well. If he could turn it into a mystic dog, that would be a good thing. Meng Yao and Yushu's safety would be guaranteed. Alright, you study it first. We'll guard the passageway for you. I'll let you know when old He comes back. Ling Shan nodded. Lin Yi looked at General Wei Wu. General Wei Wu, do you want to level up? Like them? Chapter 1360. Woof woof. General Wei Wu probably understood Lin Yi's words. When Lin Yi finished, General Wei Wu barked twice and ran over, obviously agreeing to Lin Yi's suggestion. Lin Yi nodded and carried General Wei Wu in his arms. But General Wei Wu's situation was a bit special. General Wei Wu absorbed the energy that Lin Yi transferred to it passively. It didn't know any Nigong, so Lin Yi's previous method to increase General Wei Wu's strength obviously wouldn't work. Thinking back to the time when he was injured, the only thing that Lin Yi could think of was to absorb some energy from General Wei Wu, compress it, and return it to see if it would work. Since he thought of a way, Lin Yi started working. Lin Yi sat cross-legged and activated the art of dragon mastery to absorb energy for cultivation. But this time he didn't enter the jade space. Instead, he absorbed energy from General Wei Wu's body. Lin Yi was already at the peak of the middle phase of the mystic class. If he wanted to break through, he could only rely on accumulating energy bit by bit. The amount of energy he absorbed was very slow, but even so, it was enough. He just needed to make General Wei Wu lose a little bit of pure qi. So, after absorbing a little, Lin Yi stopped and compressed a small bag of energy, returning it to General Wei Wu. So, General Wei Wu was like a balloon that was filled with air. Its entire body swelled up, its limbs spread out and its eyes popped out. It laid on the ground and cried out in pain, woof. Lin Yi looked at General Wei Wu sympathetically, but he didn't interfere. Although Lin Yi could absorb the energy from General Wei Wu's body again, it was the same as giving up on General Wei Wu to level up. Therefore Lin Yi decided to let General Wei Wu rely on its own efforts to overcome this obstacle. Even if General Wei Wu exploded from the energy, as long as it didn't die, Lin Yi could still use his energy to heal it, so he wasn't too worried. General Wei Wu's situation scared Ling Shan and Yu Qian quite a bit, but since Lin Yi didn't say anything, they didn't say anything either. 1 hour, 2 hours. Finally, General Wei Wu's balloon-like body slowly shrunk and returned to normal. General Wei Wu had turned into a mystic early-phase tall dog. Woof woof. General Wei Wu was very happy. Although it couldn't speak, the increase in strength made it happy. Congratulations. Lin Yi smiled at General Wei Wu. Ling Shan and Yu Qian on the other hand were amazed. A dog had become a mystic early phase. Anything could happen to Lin Yi. But what made them feel strange was that Lin Yi kept increasing other people's strength, but his own strength didn't seem to change at all. Even if he was injured, he could recover in 1 night. Just who was this guy? Even a sky class wouldn't have this kind of strength, right? Especially with the restriction of the thin qi in the air, it shouldn't be possible for him to recover so quickly, right? Where did Lin Yi's qi come from? Why did it seem endless? Of course, since Lin Yi didn't say it, they could only bury it in their hearts. Lin Yi didn't hide it purposely because he treated them as his own people. They wouldn't be so stupid as to ask so many questions. After a day and night, there were finally footsteps in the passageway. Not long after, Old He and the others appeared. They're all back. Lin Yi wasn't surprised. After all, they had the lime powder as a marker. They could always come back out if they went the wrong way. However, these people were all dirty and dusty, evidently exhausted from walking around the passageway. How was it? Did you get anything? Ling Shan mimicked the female thief's tone and teased. Elder Yu humphed coldly, not even a ghost. Old He and James looked at each other, regretting their decision. They should have listened to Lin Yi's words if they knew this was going to happen. They wasted a day and night. Not only did they waste their energy, but they were also in a bad mood. Thieves didn't leave empty-handed. Emptiness meant bad luck, but there wasn't even a feather on the way. It was impossible for them to take anything out. Xiaoko was troubled as well, but she was hired by Old He, so she couldn't say much. I told you guys, but you didn't believe me. Lin Yi shrugged. Can we go now? Can we rest for a bit? Old He and James weren't practitioners, and the two of them were already dying from exhaustion. With Elder Yu's urging, they didn't dare slack off. Elder Yu and Xiaoke, on the other hand, were both practitioners. Xiaoke wasn't even golden class yet, but her stamina wasn't bad. She could recover after a short rest. Then you rest yourself, we've been waiting for a day and night, we're bored to death. Lin Yi ignored Old Hei's suggestion and walked to the other passageway. That's... Old Hei was panicking. He knew what Lin Yi was capable of, especially after what happened this time. It made him realize how strong Lin Yi was. If he didn't go with Lin Yi, he might not even be able to enter the palace. James naturally thought the same, but he was too tired. His legs felt like they were filled with lead and he couldn't move. You two useless things, get up and go. Elder Yu wouldn't let Lin Yi go alone. Elder Yu could tell that the male thief was the most skillful. If they didn't go with him, this trip wouldn't be as smooth. If you don't leave, I'll kill you. Elder Yu threatened. If you don't leave, I'll kill you. Old Hei and James jumped, quickly standing up. They had no choice but to follow Lin Yi, rolling and crawling forward. When they first entered this passageway, it was no different from before. The same path, the same stone walls, sometimes high and sometimes low, sometimes left and sometimes right. Lin Yi used the searchlight to walk forward. As they walked further and further, the passageway seemed to become wider and wider. From the previous 2 meters wide, it became 3 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters. In the end, it actually became about 10 meters wide. With this, everyone understood that they were on the right way. The palace was probably right in front of them, and as the path got wider, it meant that there would be traps ahead. Suddenly, Lin Yi stopped in his tracks. What's wrong, male thief? Elder Yu saw that Lin Yi stopped and he tensed up. Chapter 1361. Oh. The group started searching after hearing Lin Yi's words, and finally they found a set of bones on the right side of the wall. Under the light of the searchlight, it shone with a white light, looking very scary. The bones were scattered on the ground, not neatly placed together, so they couldn't tell the cause of death. It was as if the body had been dismembered and thrown together, and the body became like this. It's just a set of bones, what's the big deal? Maybe it was killed by a friend. Elder Yu didn't have any fear towards dead people. He said faintly, didn't Old Hei kill quite a few people yesterday? There's a lot of space here and there's no danger. Is that so? You're still interested in dismembering a body after killing a friend? Lin Yi was very disdainful of Elder Yu's ignorance. This person was a master, but he lacked common sense. Even if there was an internal conflict here, who would have the time to dismember a body? It wasn't some big grudge, was it? The path is smooth and there's no hidden weapons on the ground. Aren't you thinking too much? Elder Yu asked. Oh, if that's the case, then you can walk in the front, I'll cover the back. Lin Yi shrugged. Elder Yu's face was a little ugly. He really didn't dare to walk in the words. If there really was something up ahead, then even an earth class wouldn't be enough. He only urged Lin Yi to go first, so after some hesitation he turned to Old Hei. What do you think? I think... Old Hei frowned, but he couldn't make up his mind. His eyes quickly landed on Xiaoke. Flying Sparrow, why don't you lead the way? Fuck, why was it me again? Xiaoke was depressed, but she could only obey. After all, she was hired by Old Hei and she had to listen to him to get the final payment. So Xiaoke gritted her teeth and nodded, preparing to test the waters and walk forward. Wait. Lin Yi waved his hand to stop Xiaoke. There was danger ahead, Lin Yi was 100% sure. Ever since they came to this area, the Jade's warning signal had gotten stronger. How could Lin Yi let Xiaoke take the risk? Blackie frowned at Lin Yi's words. I can't even let my people leave first? Male thief, aren't you being too overbearing? I want her. There will be other uses for it later. Lin Yi pointed at Xiaoke and said, you follow me now and I'll give you 10% of my profits. You don't have to listen to him anymore. Ah. Xiaoke froze. She didn't understand why Lin Yi would suddenly say that, but she knew that Lin Yi had always protected her. She wasn't an idiot. She knew who really cared about her and who was using her as a tool. Flying Sparrow, are you going to break the promise? Old Hei looked at Xiaoke and asked darkly. Old Hei was about to explode from anger. This Lin Yi was too despicable, wasn't he? He wanted to drag Xiaoke away with just a few words? How could he do that? She was the cannon fodder he'd hired. I'll just follow the male thief. Xiaoke wasn't an idiot. She didn't want to die. Old Hei was obviously telling her to step on a landmine. If she wasn't so stupid, this would be a good choice. Flying Sparrow, think about it. What does the male thief need you for? Think about his tone. He's probably drooling over your beauty, right? Old Hei was trying to drive a wedge between them. He wanted the female thief to hear him and get her to interfere. That way Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do anything. Xiaoka looked at Linny. She felt a sense of familiarity from him. He didn't seem to have any ulterior motives, but old Hei's words made her suspicious. Yeah, what did he need her for? And he was even willing to give her 10% of the profit? Xiaoka felt that something wasn't right. Wasn't this male thief a bit too nice to her? Old Hei, do you want to die? Linny looked at him and said faintly, shut up if you don't want to die. If you want to leave, you can leave first. Ugh. Old Hei suddenly remembered how Linny was strong enough to fight against Elder Yu. He lost his temper. Yeah, why would he fight with Linny? Wasn't arguing with Linny asking for death? Then what do you want to do? Are we just going to wait here and not move? Elder Yu had no choice but to turn to Linny. Let's go see how that person died. Linny pointed at the bones. The body had already turned into white bones, but there were still some clues. Lin Yi's suggestion was agreed. It was good to take a look. They walked over together, careful, and stopped 10 meters away from the bones. Elder Yu, however, wasn't prepared. He only took 2 more steps before retreating back. Lin Yi looked at the coward mockingly. He took out a hardtack from his pocket and tossed it over. The hardtack moved along the ground until it reached the pile of bones. It touched one of the bones and stopped. In actuality, the danger signal from the jade didn't change, so there shouldn't be any danger yet. If the signal got stronger, it would be a sign of danger. Lin Yi walked over first and picked up the hardtack. He patted the dust off and started eating, studying the bones as he ate. Lin Yi was a medical student and he'd climbed out of a pile of corpses. He didn't have anything to hide, but old Hei, James, and Elder Yu felt disgusted. This hardtack touched the bones of the dead. Was it still edible? Lin Yi ate one and gave the other to Xiaoka. He could tell that the food she brought was limited. Old Hei would give her some sometimes, but she'd been frugal. She'd gotten skinnier in just a few days. Xiaoka, on the other hand, didn't care. From her perspective, this was food. How could she waste it? As long as it didn't fall into a manure pit, it was edible. Old Hei looked at Lin Yi and Xiaoka's actions. His eyes narrowed, but he didn't say anything. He saw it, and the female thief saw it too. She didn't say anything, so there was no point in trying to sow discord. But old Hei was curious. Why did Xiaoka trust Lin Yi? Wasn't she afraid that he'd hurt her? Chapter 1362. Chewed. Old Hei was so disgusted he wanted to puke. Didn't Lin Yi mean that someone ate him to death? He was eaten by his partner? James felt disgusted as well. Could it be that the people who came were cannibals? Internal strife, killing people was one thing, but why did they eat people? I don't know. Lin Yi shook his head. Maybe they're humans, maybe they're not. Either way, be careful. Even if he was eaten, what's there to be surprised about? Elder Yu saw that there were no other dangers, so he spoke up. Maybe they ran out of food in the tomb, and because of that they fought amongst themselves, and one of them died, and because of the lack of food, his body was eaten by his comrades. Haha. Lin Yi didn't explain anything, but he felt that this Elder Yu's imagination was really wild. Other than training, did he live in a fairy tale world? Everyone walked forward, and the jade's warning signal didn't disappear, but it didn't get stronger either. This meant that the danger was ahead, but it hadn't appeared yet. Elder Yu was a bit disdainful as he looked at Lin Yi's serious demeanor. They'd been walking for so long without any danger, and old Hei and James relaxed as well. But after another kilometer, Lin Yi stopped again. What now? Elder Yu asked after seeing Lin Yi stop. Another one. Lin Yi said. What, another one? Elder Yu paused. Over there. There's another pile of bones. Xiaoka's eyes were sharp, and she saw a pile of human bones not far away. Another one eaten? Elder Yu said solemnly after a sigh. Yeah, another one eaten. Lin Yi didn't deny it, but his meaning was completely different from Elder Yu. What Lin Yi was referring to wasn't being eaten by their companions. Lin Yi didn't care about the others and walked over. He simply looked at the bones on the ground and found that they were similar to the ones he found before. They were all gnawed by something, but Lin Yi didn't think it was a human. No one would come here to rob a tomb without sufficient food. Even if they didn't have enough, they could go back and get it. This place wasn't difficult to walk and there wasn't any danger along the way. Why would they eat people? Most importantly, the teeth marks on the bones didn't seem to be left by a human. This time Lin Yi didn't stop for too long. He continued to walk forward. Not long after, another pile of bones appeared on the ground. It was similar to the previous one and there were traces of gnawing on it. These people sure can eat. They ate 3 in such a short time. Ah. Elder Yu laughed after seeing it. Lin Yi was speechless. This person's IQ was truly shocking. Even if they were eaten by their companions who could eat 3 people in one day. That was more than 100 kilograms. How much meat could you eat in a day? He continued walking forward, and not long after, another pile of bones appeared on the ground. The distance between the two piles was much closer, only a few hundred meters apart. Another one? Even Elder Yu was suspicious. Just how many people had been eaten this time? Even if it was an internal conflict, there shouldn't be this many dead, right? Lin Yi had a bad premonition in his heart. There seemed to be something alive in this tomb, especially after seeing so many white bones. Lin Yi's premonition grew even stronger. He moved forward once more. This time, he didn't go far before the warning signal from the jade pendant suddenly became stronger. Lin Yi quickly stopped. What now? White bones again. Elder Yu asked subconsciously. There seems to be danger, Lin Yi said. Danger? Elder Yu paused, and so did Old He and James. Lingshan and Yuqian listened to Lin Yi completely, so they moved closer to Lin Yi as soon as Lin Yi said that. Only by staying together would they be safe. How come I don't feel it? Old He was confused. The place Lin Yi was at was empty and there was nothing there. It was just a part of the passageway, and logically speaking there shouldn't be any danger here. In ancient times, there were no precise electronic measuring devices and calculating devices. After walking for such a long distance, it was impossible to set up any traps in a passageway that had no rulers or markings. Otherwise, even their own people might accidentally fall into a trap. Of course, those tombs that wanted to be sealed forever were an exception, but Old He and James hadn't seen that before. Let's wait here for a bit. With that, Lin Yi prepared to sit down on the ground and stop moving forward. There weren't any forks in the road, and he stopped without seeing any danger. Naturally, Elder Yu wasn't satisfied. He'd been delayed for so many days already, and he hadn't even entered the underground palace yet. It pissed him off that he was stuck on the road. His time wasn't limitless, and the Noble House Association was watching him. If he was out for too long and they didn't notice him, he'd be in big trouble. What's there to wait for? There's no village ahead or shop behind. What do you want? Elder Yu was suspicious of Lin Yi's intentions. Lin Yi looked at him, too lazy to explain. What do you guys think? I think we should keep going. Elder Yu had heard Lin Yi say that it was dangerous, but they didn't see any danger at all, so he didn't really believe Lin Yi's words. He thought that he was just trying to scare them, or maybe he was trying to make them rely on him. Alright, let's keep going then. Old He and James looked at each other. They could see the greed in each other's eyes. Greed was boundless, especially after Lin Yi asked for 50% of the loot. The two of them wanted to exclude Lin Yi from the equation, and now was the perfect opportunity. Lin Yi had been so suspicious before, saying that there was danger here and there, but there hadn't been any danger along the way. Other than a few skeletons, there wasn't anything out of the ordinary, so they relaxed a little. Good luck, you guys. Lin Yi smiled, not saying much. Xiaoke decided to stay. She felt that Lin Yi couldn't harm her, but she didn't know what Old He would do. Xiaoke was starting to regret accepting this mission. This Old He was cruel and didn't treat her as an equal at all. He was using her as cannon fodder. Elder Yu brought Old He and James away before Lingshan asked, Male thief, is there really danger ahead? Because of Xiaoke's presence, she called Lin Yi a male thief. Chapter 1363. It has something to do with the bones? Lingshan asked. That's right. Lin Yi nodded. I feel like there's something alive in this tomb, and those people might have been eaten by that thing. Tomb keeper? Xiaoke couldn't help but gasp after hearing Lin Yi's words. What's a tomb keeper? Lin Yi wasn't a thief, so naturally he'd never heard of it. Tomb watchers are the protectors of the graveyard. These people used to be the servants of the master of the grave, and as they developed they could be the descendants of the servants or the servants of the servants. But now there are very few of them, Xiaoke said. Yes. You're saying that there's a tomb keeper in this tomb? That it ate these people? Lin Yi asked. It could be a human, but it could also be a spirit beast. Tomb-guarding spirit beasts are recorded in some ancient tomb robberies. This is a type of spirit beast that exists to guard tombs, living in the tomb and protecting it. When there's no one around, it hibernates like a turtle, but once someone barges in, it will wake up and eat the robbers as food before going back into hibernation. Xiaoke explained, if these people weren't eaten by their companions, then it's very likely that they were eaten by the tomb-guarding spirit beast. Lin Yi nodded. If these people weren't eaten by their companions, then it's very likely that they were eaten by the tomb-guarding spirit beast. Xiaoke explained, if these people weren't eaten by their companions, then it's very likely that it was the tomb-guarding spirit beast. There's something like that? Lin Yi was surprised. Then Old He and the others don't know about it? Maybe they do, maybe they don't, because it's just a legend. I've read about it in some ancient tomb, Maybe it's just something people made up to scare people, but in all these years I've never heard of anyone meeting a tomb keeper. There have been tomb keepers, but they don't live in the tomb, they only live near the tomb. Xiaoke said, and these tomb keepers have gone through tens or even hundreds of generations, and many of them don't even know where the tombs, they only know about the legend of their ancestors. I see. Linny nodded. He guessed that the spirit beast guarding the tomb was similar to the fire spirit's fruit that his old man had seen. It was an extremely rare existence and very few people believed in it anymore. Then these people will probably meet the legendary spirit beast guarding the tomb. How wonderful. Then these people. Will they be eaten as well? Lingshan frowned. Who knows? Linny shrugged. Lingshan didn't say anything. Things had gone beyond her expectations. She didn't want these grave robbers to die, and wanted to bring them to justice. But this wasn't the time for her to do whatever she wanted. Even Lin Yi couldn't do anything about it. If Lin Yi was confident, he wouldn't be sitting here waiting. And so, Lingshan and Yutian looked at each other and went silent. Whatever, as long as they could capture those small fries up there, it'd be worth it. Right? Male thief, can I ask you something? Xiaoke couldn't help but ask. She hadn't talked much with the male thief before, and they weren't familiar with each other, so she didn't dare to talk too much. But now that they had talked a lot, she wasn't as nervous as before. What is it? Lin Yi asked. You. Why are you helping me? Xiaoke asked after some hesitation. Oh. Lin Yi didn't know if he should reveal his identity. After some thought, he decided not to cause any more trouble. He smiled. I see that you're pretty and I want to take you as my wife. Is that okay? What? Xiaoke's eyes went wide and her face turned red from Lin Yi's words. She coughed and stuttered, No? No way, right? Lin Yi smiled at Xiaoke's shocked face, so don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Oh. Xiaoke nodded, but she was still a little embarrassed. Lingshan was so pissed off that she almost jumped up and pointed at Lin Yi. Just what was wrong with me? Why would you rather take a female thief as your wife and not think about me? She was pissed. Ha. Lin Yi thought that Xiaoke was quite amusing. Oh. How much are you worth? Xiaoke suddenly asked after some silence. Chem? Lin Yi paused. It's nothing, it just depends on how much you're worth and if you're worth being my wife. How much can you give me? Xiaoke said seriously. I'm joking. Lin Yi looked at the serious look on Xiaoke's face and felt bad. Lin Yi could guess what Xiaoke was thinking. Perhaps she thought that the couple should be very rich. How could a grave robber not have money? Perhaps she could tell that it was too dangerous to help other people rob graves, especially this time. She might die if she didn't do it properly, so she thought of selling herself. If she could sell herself for a good price, then the orphanage wouldn't have to worry about the future, and Xiaoke might really agree. In her eyes, she didn't care about her own benefits and happiness at all, only the children in the orphanage. Haha, I'm just joking too. Xiaoke laughed. In fact, Lin Yi was right, Xiaoke really did think the same way as Lin Yi. If Lin Yi could take out a sum of money that could build the orphanage well, and make it so that the orphanage wouldn't have to worry about its expenses for a long time, then Xiaoke would be willing to be his wife or even his maid. But Xiaoke shook her head in self-mockery. She wasn't a golden phoenix, why would he spend so much money? Was that even possible? She reckoned that these thoughts of hers would cause the male thief to go bankrupt. Even if he really wanted to marry her as a concubine, he would be scared away after hearing her request. The four of them waited here for a while. After about half an hour, they suddenly heard the sound of messy footsteps coming from the passageway in front of them. They're back. Lingshan asked after hearing the footsteps. They seem to be running back? Yuqian frowned, confused. Not good. Lin Yi's heart sank. The Jade's warning signal was getting stronger and stronger, which meant that Elder Yu and Old Hay had brought danger back as well. As expected, following the messy footsteps were screams of pain. Help. Not good. There's a ghost. There's a ghost in the grave, it's going to eat people. Chapter 1364. Slowly, Lin Yi could see a person running back from the passageway. It was Elder Yu. An earth class running faster than a rabbit. Looking at him, he didn't seem to be injured at all. This meant that he didn't fight with the so-called ghost. This made Lin Yi look down on him. This guy was a bit too cowardly, wasn't he? In fact, Elder Yu really was a cowardly person. Otherwise, he wouldn't be threatened by a mystic like Lin Yi time and again. He was arrogant, but he cherished his life like gold. He was a contradiction, but it could also be understood as bullying the weak and fearing the strong. In front of a weaker opponent, Elder Yu was arrogant and prideful. He took pride in bullying the weak. But once the opponent was strong enough to threaten his life, he became hesitant and didn't dare to fight head-on. However, it wasn't hard for people who knew Elder Yu's background to understand. As the head of the Commonwealth House Yu, he was once the head of the Commonwealth House Yu. Other than pursuing a higher level of martial arts, he wanted to bring glory to the Commonwealth House Yu, so he entered the Hidden House Yu. If he hadn't entered a hidden house, Elder Yu wouldn't have known how small he was. But when he saw that there were so many Earth-class masters in the hidden house, and even a legendary Sky-class master, Elder Yu knew that he was nothing more than an ant. Being able to enter the hidden house wasn't something to be proud of. Here, people could kill him at any time. So he started to tremble and be careful, afraid that he would lose his life. He felt how small his life was and he became more cautious. Earth class in the common world was the top, but after entering the hidden house, his position was lower than those mystic class servants because he was an outsider. Maybe if something happened to him and he died, the hidden house wouldn't even bat an eye. In order to confirm his position in the hidden house, Elder Yu had to accept some of the missions from House Yu in the common world, even if it was dangerous. But Elder Yu wasn't an idiot. Once his life was threatened, he would definitely choose to save his own life first. As for the mission, to hell with it. Once he died, there would be no hope for House Yu, let alone revenge for his third brother and nephew. But this time he really felt danger. It was a monster, and although it seemed to be only golden class late phase peak, Elder Yu didn't dare to act recklessly. They weren't humans, so they couldn't be measured by human strength. If he was facing a human late phase peak golden class master, Elder Yu would probably just mock him and kill him, but facing a golden class late phase peak ghost, Elder Yu didn't even have the thought of fighting him. This thing wasn't human. Who knew how they divided their strength? Would he be eaten by him? No way. Is there really a ghost? Xiaoke was startled as well. They were just talking about a tomb guardian beast and now it was here. She was a girl and of course she was scared. Some things could be said, but seeing it with her own eyes would make her heart skip a beat. It's not a ghost. It's a weird-looking animal. It's probably the tomb guardian beast you were talking about. Lin Yi closed his eyes, using the jade space to observe the scene in the far. This was Lin Yi's golden finger. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to see what was coming. He's very fast, at least not slower than old He. Then what do we do now? Ling Shan subconsciously pulled out her handgun. This was the first time she wanted to use it since coming here. I don't know, but he's about to catch up to James? Lin Yi said. Suddenly, a scream came from the passageway. It was James' voice. It seemed like James had been captured by the monster. It's James? Xiaoke recognized the voice as well. Yeah, James is done for. The monster's already bitten his neck off. Lin Yi sighed. As expected, White Bones was eaten by it. The monster stopped chasing Old He and Elder Yu and started eating James, while Elder Yu and Old He ran over in one go. Run, there's a ghost. Blackie gasped for breath. Elder Yu, you're an Earth class. Aren't you going to deal with that monster? It's just a golden class late phase peak monster, Lin Yi said mockingly. So you know that it's a monster. I'm a human, how can I compare to a monster? Who knows if it's strong or not? Some monsters without a level can kill an Earth class in one hit. Elder Yu humphed coldly. Ignorant brat, there are too many things you don't know. In those ancient sects, there are some ancient spirit beasts that aren't high-leveled, but they have very powerful abilities. Some look like they're only golden class, but they have very high attack skills. Lin Yi paused, not expecting ancient spirit beasts to exist. Wasn't this similar to the spirit beast that Xiaoke talked about? They were probably the same type, just guarding different things. After hearing the words, Lin Yi understood why Elder Yu didn't want to do anything. Some people really couldn't be measured by level. Like Air Gooden, for example. He looked like an unclassed, but he could kill a mystic in one hit. It didn't make sense at all. So you're saying that we're giving up on this tomb? Lin Yi's eyes narrowed as he looked at Elder Yu. While the monster is eating James, we'll discuss our strategy. Should we work together to kill the monster, or should we leave the tomb? Elder Yu wasn't in too much of a rush. He wasn't confident that he could fight the monster head-on, but he could still run. His speed was clearly faster than the monster. I remember someone said that if there's any danger in the tomb, he'll take care of it? Isn't that you, Elder Yu? Lin Yi looked at Elder Yu and said faintly. Kid, you only know how to talk big. If you think you can do it, then go take care of him. Elder Yu humphed. Chapter 1365. But Lin Yi was confident that as long as he killed this monster and entered the underground palace, Elder Yu wouldn't be able to catch him even if he came back. The tomb was full of traps and it wasn't something Elder Yu could catch up to. You want to throw me off? It's not that easy. Either we work together to kill this monster, or I'll watch you do it. Elder Yu wasn't an idiot. He knew what Lin Yi was thinking. What if he couldn't find Lin Yi when he came back? How do you want to work together? Lin Yi asked. You lure the monster to eat you and I'll ambush you from the back. Elder Yu said straightforwardly. Lin Yi blushed a little on his behalf. Elder Yu, could you be more shameless? Letting him be the cannon fodder while he ambushed him? What do you think? My idea isn't bad, right? Elder Yu's face was thick to a certain extent, and he didn't feel that there was anything wrong with what he said. Even old Hay felt that this Elder Yu was going overboard, but Lin Yi nodded. All right, I'll lure it from the front and you ambush it. Lin Yi knew that it wasn't practical to let Elder Yu lure the monster. With Elder Yu's personality, he wouldn't do something so dangerous. As for ambushing, it was much less dangerous. Elder Yu was confident that he could escape from the monster, and so was Lin Yi, so he wasn't afraid of the monster. With that, Lin Yi walked towards the monster, and Elder Yu followed carefully behind Lin Yi as if he would run away at any moment. Ling Shan and Yu Qian looked at each other, but they didn't move. Lin Yi didn't let them do anything, and the best plan was for them to stay where they were. Otherwise, they'd just be more of a hindrance to Lin Yi. Lin Yi and Elder Yu, one in front and one at the back, came to the monster's side. At this moment, the monster was focused on eating James' body, its mouth full of blood. It was a scary sight. This was also the first time Lin Yi observed the monster up close. The monster had a yellow mane and looked a bit like a gorilla, but there were some differences. Although it had hairy limbs, used its hind legs to walk and used its forelegs to eat, it didn't have a tail. From its appearance, it was completely different from a gorilla or monkey. It looked a bit like a toad, with protruding eyes, no nose and a pointed mouth. It was hard to tell what such a monster was. The monster clearly saw Lin Yi approaching. Perhaps it was curious. Others would run away when they saw it, so why would Lin Yi take the initiative to approach it? However, now that there was human meat to eat, the monster was not in a hurry to attack Lin Yi. When Lin Yi passed by the monster only glanced at him once. But when Lin Yi passed it and continued forward, the monster suddenly threw James away and pounced at Lin Yi with its claws and fangs. This indirectly proved Lin Yi's guess. This really was a spirit beast guarding the tomb. When Lin Yi didn't intend to continue into the tomb, it ignored Lin Yi, but when Lin Yi continued forward, he was attacked by the monster. It even ignored the food in its hands and chased after Lin Yi. Lin Yi's Qinggong wasn't any weaker than Elder Yu. How could this monster catch up to him? Although Lin Yi was sure that this monster was at the peak of the late phase of the golden class, he had a strange feeling as if he wasn't its opponent. This feeling became stronger when the monster swung its paw at him. Lin Yi didn't have the confidence to take it head-on. If it weren't for the fact that he still had to rely on Lin Yi to enter the tomb, Elder Yu wouldn't mind stalling for time and let the monster finish off Lin Yi first. That way, Lin Yi wouldn't have the strength to fight with him for the qi-gathering pills and medical notes. But Elder Yu knew that it would be hard for old He and Xiaoke to enter the tomb, and so he had to protect Lin Yi's life. Roar! The more Lin Yi walked in, the angrier the monster got. It was as if Lin Yi had stolen its belongings and it chased after Lin Yi. The monster left its back to Elder Yu, as if it didn't have any defense against him at all. This made Elder Yu laugh. Haha, monsters really were monsters, their intelligence was too low. Leaving its back to the enemy, wasn't it looking to die? And so, Elder Yu channeled his qi and clenched his fists, aiming at the monster's back. He was ready to kill this monster in one hit. Elder Yu didn't want to waste time with a monster like this, so he used all of his strength right from the get-go. He was afraid that if he couldn't kill it in one hit, it'd be troublesome if he ambushed it again. Pung! A loud sound, and both of Elder Yu's fists landed on the monster's back. It could be said that the full strength of an early phase Earth class was used up in this one hit. As far as he was concerned, this monster was dead for sure. Golden class late phase peak, after taking a hit from an early phase Earth class, there was no reason for it not to die. Not to mention golden class late phase peak, even a mystic late phase peak would be dead for sure if they took a hit like that, let alone with both fists. But before Elder Yu could be proud of himself, the monster turned around and slapped at Elder Yu. Elder Yu didn't have any defense and was hit squarely on the chest, sending him flying. Roar! The monster didn't think that someone would dare to ambush him, and he was furious. His eyes turned red, and he didn't care about Lin Yi anymore as he ran towards Elder Yu. Pfft! Elder Yu spat out a mouthful of blood from the monster's slap. His body was in pain and at the same time he was shocked. Why wasn't the monster dead? How did it have such strength? But he didn't have time to think too much because the monster was chasing after him again. And so, Elder Yu stood up and ran, afraid that the monster would catch up to him. Lin Yi frowned as expected. The feeling of danger that this monster gave him was correct. It wasn't a normal golden class late phase peak, and a spirit beast like this couldn't be judged by the standards of a human's level. Although Elder Yu didn't kill the monster, the full strength of an early phase Earth class was no joke. It probably did some damage to the monster, or else it wouldn't be this angry. Chapter 1366. Lin Yi and Elder Yu were both shocked. It seemed that they had underestimated the monster's strength. The palm it used on Elder Yu was obviously because it didn't use its full strength, and this palm was filled with rage. Lin Yi could go into the palace while the monster wasn't there, but Lin Yi couldn't do that. Lingshan, Yutian and Xiaoko were all outside, and Lin Yi couldn't just ignore them. What if Elder Yu shifted the blame to them? Elder Yu was filled with regret and hatred. He was glad that he came up with the right idea, thinking that the monster's eyes were on Lin Yi, and it was just a sneak attack, so there shouldn't be any danger. Who knew that not only did the sneak attack fail, but he also got himself into trouble. Male thief, come help. Elder Yu yelled as he ran. It seemed like the monster wouldn't stop until it caught up to him. Lin Yi could only chase after him. Elder Yu was an Earth class, but his Qinggong might not be stronger than Lin Yi's. Lin Yi didn't take long to overtake the monster and Elder Yu, continuing onwards. Elder Yu was raging, but there was nothing he could do. Seeing Lingshan, Yutian and the others, Lin Yi yelled, "Run, the monster's gone crazy." Lin Yi grabbed Xiaoko under his armpit when he passed her, running with her. Xiaoko was the weakest here, and Lin Yi wasn't sure if she could run, so it was better to bring her along. Lingshan and Yutian looked at Old Hei, and Yutian was helpless. He had no choice but to carry Old Hei on his back. Their mission this time was to catch the tomb robbers, and now that Old King James and Old Hao were all dead, only Old Hei was left. He couldn't let him die too, right? So Qin Yutian could only bring him along. Old Hei was touched. Good people, really good people. He wanted to get rid of them before, but at this critical moment they still thought of him. This thief couple was really a good person. Elder Yu saw General Wei Wu, but he wasn't kind enough to bring the dog along. He cursed, "Dog, don't block the way." General Wei Wu's eyes froze, but he didn't bother with Elder Yu. He just stood in the middle of the tunnel with his head held high, facing the monster that was running towards him. Lin Yi didn't bother with General Wei Wu because General Wei Wu's running speed wasn't slow and it could run on its own. He didn't expect it to face the enemy head-on. Roar! The monster roared at General Wei Wu. Woof woof! General Wei Wu barked as well. Pure energy spread out from its body, showing the strength of an early-phase mystic class. Under normal circumstances, no one would think that General Wei Wu was a training dog if they didn't purposely pay attention to it. Even when it slipped under Elder Yu's eyes, Elder Yu didn't suspect that it was a training dog. It was only when General Wei Wu showed off its power that Elder Yu suddenly realized that it was a mystic class dog. Fuck. Could it be that there was a spirit beast beside the male thief? Elder Yu wanted to cry. You have a mystic class dog, why didn't you come earlier? Why didn't you say so earlier? You even made me spit out blood after getting slapped by that monster. How can you trick people like this? Doggy, go subdue that monster. Elder Yu was energized and ordered Wei Wu. Although General Wei Wu could understand human language, it didn't care about Elder Yu's order. For some reason, General Wei Wu had a desire to conquer the monster the moment it saw it. It was a natural instinct. And so, General Wei Wu chose to face the monster head-on. But Elder Yu stopped running and breathed a sigh of relief as he stood beside Wei Wu. As if he had discovered a new continent, he pointed at the monster and started cursing. Weren't you trying to act cocky in front of me? Why aren't you acting cool now? Are you a coward now? Lin Yi, who was running at the front, sensed something amiss and stopped. Lingshan and Yutian stopped as well, turning around at the same time. What they saw shocked them to the core. Male thief, why didn't you say so earlier that you have a spirit beast beside you? Did you deliberately injure this old man? Elder Yu couldn't be blamed for thinking this way. From his perspective, this male thief just wanted to get rid of him so that he wouldn't have to fight for the treasures in the tomb. Spirit beast? You're saying that General Wei Wu is a spirit beast? Lin Yi paused. He didn't know what Elder Yu was talking about. You have a mystic early-phase spirit beast, but you don't want it to fight that monster. Instead, you want me to sneak attack it. What are you planning? Are you trying to kill me? Elder Yu said with a dark face. If this dog wasn't Lin Yi's, he would have slapped it and let Lin Yi have a taste of getting hurt. You're an Earth class and you can't even deal with that monster. You want a mystic dog to do it? Lin Yi asked in confusion. Although he was confused, he realized that with General Wei Wu's presence, the monster really stopped and didn't take another step forward. You don't know? Elder Yu paused and humphed. No wonder, a tomb raider like you wouldn't know these secrets. You have a high-level spirit beast beside you and you don't even know, what a waste. What do you mean? Lin Yi really didn't understand what Elder Yu was talking about. Besides, this wasn't a spirit beast. It was just a normal dog that he modified. Although there are many different kinds of spirit beasts and they all have different abilities such as attack type, healing type, fire type, water type, etc., but the classification of spirit beasts is strictly based on their own level. In other words, to them, Mystic will always be higher than Golden class. Even if Golden class is an attack type and Mystic is a healing type, the only thing a Golden class spirit beast can do in front of a Mystic class spirit beast is to submit. This is the biggest difference between spirit beasts and humans. Some people are worse than animals. Elder Yu's last sentence seemed to be hinting at something, hinting that Lin Yi was worse than an animal. A Mystic wanted to fight Elder Yu, an Earth class. Although Lin Yi understood it, he didn't argue with Elder Yu. Lin Yi was shocked by Elder Yu's knowledge. Before, Lin Yi had never seen a spirit beast before, and he didn't know much about them. He didn't know that there were so many things. Chapter 1367. I don't know if I can tame it, but I'm sure it'll surrender. In other words, if that dog protects us, then this monster won't attack us. Elder Yu said. He was able to explain to Lin Yi some secrets that only people of the hidden house level would know. This made Elder Yu feel a sense of accomplishment. Thank you for the pointers, Elder Yu. Lin Yi said faintly. No matter what, this Elder Yu was annoying, but he did explain a lot of things to him. And if you know what's good for you and give me a chi gathering pill and the medical notes, then I won't kill you. Lin Yi thought. Humph, this is just something that everyone in the hidden house knows. Elder Yu said proudly. He had to maintain this sense of superiority that came from a hidden house. Roar dash, the monster roared again. General Wei Wu moved. It walked towards the monster, barking twice as it walked, as if it was sending some kind of message to the monster. The monster heard General Wei Wu's barking and suddenly quieted down. The rage in its eyes disappeared and was replaced with a look of respect. However, because it was injured by Elder Yu, there was a flash of pain in its eyes. Although it was a spirit beast with thick skin and flesh, Elder Yu was an Earth class. That one hit was enough to make him suffer. It was obvious that it was injured internally, otherwise it wouldn't be so angry that it wanted to kill Elder Yu. Woof woof, roar, woof, roar roar. The two animals seemed to be communicating, but Lin Yi didn't know what they were talking about. General Wei Wu could understand him, but he couldn't understand General Wei Wu, and he couldn't understand what the monster was talking about. Suddenly, General Wei Wu reached out its front paw and placed it on the monster's body. Instantly, the monster's face showed a look of shock, but it quickly turned into an expression of enjoyment and comfort. Healing Spirit Beast. Elder Yu saw what Wei Wu was doing, and he knew that it was healing the monster. Of course, the wounds it was healing were caused by him. Elder Yu couldn't help but show a greedy look in his eyes. Healing spirit beasts were the best of the best. They could heal humans or other spirit beasts. Of course, the degree of healing was also related to the level of the spirit beast. The higher the level, the more serious the wound. A high-level healing spirit beast could heal a person who was about to die. It was just that amazing. Although General Wei Wu was only a mystic, it would become a sky-class spirit beast in the future, and it wouldn't be hard for it to have this kind of power. Spirit beasts evolved faster than humans, and Elder Yu was thinking that if he could bring this dog back to House Yu, what kind of reward would he get? He was starting to regret talking so much to Lin Yi. It would have been easy if he could have used some benefits to trade for Lin Yi's dog, but taking him from Lin Yi's hands was a little more difficult. Healing spirit beast? Lin Yi's face flashed with a strange look. Healing my ass. General Wei Wu's body was filled with his universal chi. It was useful to everyone. How did it become a healing spirit beast? General Wei Wu knew how to attack too, okay? But Lin Yi couldn't be bothered to explain these things to Elder Yu. It seemed like General Wei Wu had some kind of agreement with the monster, or else General Wei Wu wouldn't be healing the monster on its own accord. Not long after, the monster moaned in comfort. Roar, it was as if its body was filled with energy and life, and all its wounds were healed. This made Elder Yu's breathing quicken. This was a full power strike from an Earth-class master. How could it be healed so easily? Although his strike might not have caused much damage to the monster, General Wei Wu was able to heal it in such a short period of time. This was enough to show how miraculous General Wei Wu was. Elder Yu looked at General Wei Wu quietly. He was thinking about how he could bring it back to the hidden house Yu. Even if he couldn't find the chi gathering pill, medical notes, and pill making notes, this healing spirit beast would be enough. General Wei Wu could understand what Lin Yi was saying, and it also knew why Lin Yi came to the tomb. The ultimate goal of the guardian spirit beast was to protect the tomb, and also the sarcophagus of the dead. As long as General Wei Wu said that he wouldn't touch the sarcophagus, the guardian spirit beast wouldn't stop him. Plus, General Weiwu healed the monster's wounds, and the guardian spirit beast was very grateful. Woof woof. General Weiwu barked at Lin Yi and the others after dealing with the guardian spirit beast. Lin Yi nodded, guessing what General Weiwu meant. He walked forward and Lingshan, Yutian and Xiaoke followed behind Lin Yi. But Elder Yu and Old He were scared out of their wits, and they didn't dare to go forward. When they saw Lin Yi walk past the guardian spirit beast, they breathed a sigh of relief and quickly followed. But Lin Yi was fine, and that didn't mean that Elder Yu was fine. When Elder Yu walked past the guardian spirit beast, it suddenly jumped up and roared at Elder Yu. Ah! Elder Yu jumped back in fright, but he crashed into the stone wall behind him, making him dizzy and disorientated. This spirit beast was already so strong after being injured by him, and now that it was healed, wouldn't it be even stronger? But after scaring Elder Yu, it didn't move anymore. It just laid there, not intending to attack Elder Yu anymore. Evidently, he wanted to scare Elder Yu and get his revenge. With General Weiwu mediating between them, the spirit beast wouldn't hurt Elder Yu anymore, but he didn't want to let him go just like that. That was why he did this. Elder Yu realized that he was scared, and his face reddened. He laughed at himself. Ha, this spirit beast is quite smart, playing a joke on me. Of course his joke wasn't funny at all. Lin Yi and the others couldn't be bothered with him after he said that. When Old Black passed by, the spirit beast Tomb Guardian didn't even look at him. It was clear that it didn't care about Old Black at all. However, this feeling of being looked down upon by the spirit beast Tomb Guardian made Old Black feel very good. Chapter 1368. But General Weiwu's identity was evidently acknowledged by the other spirit beasts. Did this mean that spirit beasts were just animals that could practice? Lin Yi believed that Elder Yu didn't know much about these things either. He only knew a little bit, so he took it out to show off. The ancient sects, on the other hand, should know more about spirit beasts, but Lin Yi didn't have access to them at his level. The path to the underground palace was full of twists and turns, but there was no danger. The group walked smoothly and they reached the end in about a day. At the end of the passageway was a square palace. The entire hall of the palace was very large, about the size of a football field. In the palace, there were only some pillars that seemed to be supporting the weight of the palace. Apart from that, there were no other decorations. On the walls of the palace, there were countless eternal lanterns, and when they got here, everyone felt as if they had gone from darkness to light. The searchlight in Old He's hands was useless as well. The eternal lanterns weren't that bright, but they were no different from normal indoor lights. Seeing this, Lin Yi couldn't help but marvel at the craftsman's craftsmanship. These eternal lanterns were hundreds and thousands of years old, and yet they weren't extinguished. It was amazing. But Old He and Xiaoke seemed to be used to it, so Lin Yi, Lingshan, and Yuqian didn't show too much surprise. This is the underground palace? How come there's nothing here? And why are these lanterns still on? Elder Yu was an outsider and he didn't know what was going on. Elder Yu, this isn't the underground palace, it's just the entrance to the palace. Old He quickly explained. Next, we need to find the real entrance to the underground palace. As for those eternal lanterns, they're common in super tombs, and they're said to be made from the fat of mermaids. So that's the case, then what are we waiting for? You guys look for the entrance, I'll go get one for research. Elder Yu said. No. Old He quickly stopped him. Elder Yu, this lamp can't be extinguished or removed, it might trigger some traps and trap us here. This old man is just saying this kind of trash is very common in the hidden families. Elder Yu was pissed that Old He stopped him, but he didn't want to admit his wrongdoing, he started blabbering. Old He smiled awkwardly at Elder Yu's arrogance, but didn't dare say anything. Flying Sparrow, what do you think of the entrance? Old He turned to Xiaoke. On the walls of the palace, there are many strange drawings. Perhaps the door to the underground palace is hidden within these drawings. Let's split up and search, Xiaoke said after looking around the palace. That's good. Let's split up. It'll be faster. Blackie nodded. But don't act rashly if you find a trap. Of course. Xiaoke nodded. With that, Old He and Xiaoke started searching and even Elder Yu joined in. Elder Yu was in a rush as well. He wanted to get into the underground palace as soon as possible to find the treasures and complete the mission to return to the hidden house Yu. But Lin Yi didn't move, still standing in the middle of the palace. Old He didn't dare to care about Lin Yi's lack of sociability, and Elder Yu was too lazy to care. He didn't want to embarrass himself, so he let Lin Yi stand in the middle of the palace. Lin Yi didn't look at the murals because the information Wuxia gave Lin Yi did mention this palace before the entrance, but the key point wasn't the murals, but the stone pillars in the palace. Wuxia didn't say what was special about these pillars, but the reminder was good enough. After all, Wuxia was guessing a lot of things and he hadn't been here himself. Male thief, is there something special about these pillars? Lingshan saw that Lin Yi's eyes were on the pillars. Yes, but I haven't discovered it yet. Lin Yi looked at one pillar first and didn't find anything special. Lin Yi then looked at the other pillars and didn't find anything out of place. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Perhaps he wasn't a professional in this area, so even if there was something special about these pillars, Lin Yi couldn't tell. There wasn't any danger in this mechanism, so Lin Yi didn't need to use the jade's warning function. Lin Yi's jade didn't react at all when he stood in front of the pillars. There were only a few paintings in the palace and old He, Xiaoke and Elder Yu finished looking at them very quickly. They looked at each other again but didn't find anything special. They were just normal paintings like some kind of talisman that could make the dead feel at peace. There was nothing special about them. It seems like we went the wrong way. There's nothing special about these paintings, Xiaoke said. The last painting is the melody of an elegy, and it's also to let the dead rest. I'm afraid so. Old He was an experienced man, and he could tell that something was off. Then what do we do? Elder Yu wasn't very happy. They'd been looking for so long, and they still hadn't found anything. Let's look at the male thief. Old He wasn't happy, but he had to admit that the male thief might have found something. Male thief, what did you find? Elder Yu walked over and asked him politely. Nothing, but there should be something special about these pillars. Flying Sparrow, what do you think? Lin Yi didn't know much about this, but he could give Xiaoke a hint. Oh. Xiaoke hadn't thought about these pillars before, and now that Lin Yi reminded her, she paused. Could it be that there was something special about these pillars? Pillars? Old He was also surprised. Normally, the stone pillars in ancient tombs were used to support the main hall and didn't have any other purpose. These things were different from stone statues and couldn't be moved. Normally, no one would use them as a mechanism, so he had forgotten about them as soon as he entered. But since Lin Yi said that there was something wrong with these pillars, Old He felt that perhaps there really was something wrong with them. Chapter 1369. Lin Yi was using all the time he had to practicing, and with Elder Yu in front of him, it was a good motivation. Elder Yu didn't expect Lin Yi to train after giving the suggestion, and was a little annoyed. Young thief, why aren't you helping us find the entrance? Why are you still training? Do you think you can beat me just because you've been training for a while? That's hard to say. You're injured now, and if I work a little harder, I'll be able to fight you to a draw. Lin Yi said faintly. Right, I might as well tell you that General Wei Wu and I are telepathic. Thanks for telling me it's a healer and I can get it to heal when I'm not strong enough. You can't, so I'll just drag it out until you die. Lin Yi could see that Elder Yu was interested in General Wei Wu, and in order to stop him from thinking about it, Lin Yi had to warn him first. He didn't want to start a conflict with Elder Yu before he found the medical notes. Elder Yu humphed coldly. He was indeed injured, but he had been hiding it. That attack from the spirit beast wasn't fatal, but it did affect his strength a little, and he couldn't maintain his peak condition. His right arm in particular hadn't healed yet and he couldn't use his full strength. It was a lot more taxing for him. Elder Yu didn't know that Lin Yi was going to kill him. I'll give you everything I promised you, but if you don't go find the entrance, wouldn't that be a waste of time? Elder Yu said after a sigh. I'm not good at this. It's good enough that I could tell there's something wrong with the pillar. Lin Yi said nonchalantly. If you want to go find it, don't get in my way. You? Elder Yu was a little pissed, but since Lin Yi was practicing, Elder Yu thought about it and decided to continue practicing as well. He sat down cross-legged and started practicing. He wasn't good at finding these traps and so he might as well practice. And so Lin Yi and Elder Yu, one old and one young, started practicing not too far away. Lingshan and Yu Tian on the other hand were too embarrassed to practice, so they pretended to look for the traps on the pillars. Songshan Chu's villa. Today was the weekend, Saturday. Gooden was there as a bodyguard, but the atmosphere in the villa was a bit heavy. I'm so bored. Yao sis, I don't know what to do. Yushu laid on the sofa yawning lazily. She turned off the tablet in her hands and complained to Mengyao. Then what do you want to do? Mengyao was playing Monopoly on her phone to kill time. Where did Shield Bro go? There's been no news of him for days. Maybe we should go look for him? Yushu suggested. Find him? Where could he find it? Lin Yi's looking for the fire spirit's fruit for Xiao Xiao, not playing. Don't disturb him. Mengyao said. If you're bored, we can go shopping with Tang Yin in the afternoon. Shopping, huh? It's so boring without Shield Bro. Yushu was a little dispirited as she turned to Gooden, who was sitting at the entrance, staring blankly. Hey Lilaire, Shield Bro's your boss, why are you so boring? You're always so bored and you're even blocking the entrance. What kind of bodyguard is this? Gooden's actions made Mingyao quite troubled as well. Wasn't this bodyguard a little too professional? When they were in the villa, he sat at the entrance like a door god, not caring about the time. When Mingyao and Yushu went out, he just sat in the car like a bodyguard, not saying a word. Boss told me to protect you guys, and I think that's the only way to keep you guys safe. Gooden said matter-of-factly. Oh, you beat me. Yushu was a little speechless. This guy didn't listen to her at all. He was a stubborn man, doing whatever Lin Yi told him to do, and not doing anything he wasn't told to do. And so, without Lin Yi as the chef, the villa went back to Faubert's 3 meals a day. In one of the luxurious villas on the outskirts of Donghai City, a hale and hearty old man in a white robe was glaring at the man in front of him who had lost half of his arm. The other party was so vicious that he beat you into a cripple? Master, please seek justice for your disciple. Please avenge your disciple. The man with half an arm missing was Ma Zhu, crippled by Lin Yi's energy bomb. Seeing that his master was finally here, Ma Zhu couldn't hold back the sadness in his heart anymore. He cried, "Your disciple's golden shield is gone, I can't train anymore. Don't worry, I'll make sure that Lin Yi bastard wishes he was dead. I'll let you kill him with your own hands." This old man was Jianghu, an Earth-class early-phase peak physical practitioner. "Thank you, master. But I sigh." Ma Zhu couldn't help but sigh as he thought about his situation. "Don't worry, I'll think of a way for you to get some spiritual arts for you. You won't be able to go far on the physical path, but it's the same with spiritual arts. You'll be able to achieve more with both internal and external training." Jianghu consoled. But he knew that Ma Zhu was probably a cripple for the rest of his life. This villa belonged to the Eastern Sea Zhen family, and Jianghu was warmly welcomed by the Zhen father and son. "Elder Wudi, your arrival really brings light to our humble house." Zhen Dazhou was extremely respectful to Jianghu. "Please take a look, is there anything else you need?" No need to please me, I know what you're thinking." Jianghu didn't fall for that. "You don't need to be so fake, I'm here to avenge my disciple. Of course, if that kid is your enemy, I'll take care of him, so you don't need to thank me." "I still need to thank you." Zhen Dazhou was a little awkward. "This is just a small gift from me, please accept it, Elder Wudi." With that, Zhen Dazhou handed a red packet to Jianghu. "What is it?" Jianghu asked faintly. "It's a 10 million deposit certificate." Zhen Dazhou didn't expect Jianghu to ask so directly. He paused but still said it honestly. "Oh." Jianghu nodded and took it. "Speak, what do you want me to do?" Chapter 1370. Dazhou, on the other hand, relaxed a little upon seeing Jianghu being so easygoing. He liked this type of person the most, taking money to get rid of trouble. He cut to the chase. "Elder Wudi, it's like this. Our Ingjun has been drooling over the 2 girls by Lin Yi's side for a long time. All this happened because of those 2 girls, so we can't let them go this time. If your son wants to play with those 2 girls, just say it." "What do you mean by cause?" "I don't care how it happened, all I know is that my beloved disciple was hurt by that little bastard Lin Yi, so I'll go after him." Wudi humphed. "But since you gave me 10 million, isn't it just 2 girls? I'll just grab them for you on the way." "Many thanks, Patriarch Invincible." Zhen Dazhou hurriedly expressed his gratitude. Spending 10 million on 2 girls was a little painful for him, but he had to spend it. The reason was that his son, Zhen Ingjun, was turned into a eunuch by Lin Yi, and while he was treated by Yao Wang, the effects weren't that obvious. And so, Yao Wang came up with an idea. Since Ingjun was drooling over Mengyao and Yushu, why not capture them and stimulate Ingjun a little? Who knows, there might be some unexpected effects, and it might cure Ingjun's impotence right away. For the sake of House Zhen, Dazhou had no choice but to take out 10 million for Jianghu to capture Mengyao and Yushu for his son to play with. Curing his son's illness was the most important thing. Jianghu coming down the mountain wasn't a secret, and so when he arrived in Donghai, House Yu Xiao family, Hidden House Zhao, and Hidden House Pai received the news. Other noble houses like House Wu were the first to receive the news. After all, Jianghu was a physical practitioner, and House Wu naturally paid close attention to him. "Jishan, Jianghu has arrived in Donghai. Go visit him on behalf of House Pai. After all, his enemies are our enemies too. If necessary, I can help him in secret." The head of House Pai called his son Pai Jishan over and ordered, "Father, Jianghu is just an Earth-class early-phase peak physical practitioner. Do we need to pay him so much attention? Do we need to visit him personally?" Jishan asked, confused. As far as he was concerned, Jianghu was an Earth class, but his sect only had 1 Earth class. It barely counted as a sect, and among the hidden houses, it was the weakest. If it weren't for Jianghu, his sect would be the same as the common world's noble houses. Jishan, don't underestimate Jianghu. He may only be an Earth-class early-phase peak physical practitioner, but he's a Golden Shield practitioner. His entire body is as hard as steel, and even I can't do anything to him. Once the Golden Shield is completed, unless it's someone stronger than him, someone of the same level won't be able to do anything to him. Pai Jaka waved his hand as he spoke seriously. Impossible? Does that mean that only a Sky class can deal with Jianghu? Father, you're an Earth-class late-phase peak physical practitioner and you're no match for him? Jishan's face changed as he asked in shock. That's not to say that I'm no match for him. He might not be able to beat me, but I definitely won't be able to beat him either. After all, the techniques I've used on him have practically no effect at all. Pai Jaka smiled bitterly. That's the advantage of having a Golden Shield practitioner. Even a Sky class wouldn't be able to do anything to him if they didn't have a high attack type martial art. Only those with high attack power would be able to hurt him. I see, no wonder you're paying so much attention to him. Jishan said. That's right. Although he's only an Earth-class early-phase peak physical practitioner, he's a member of a hidden noble house. His school is on the same level as us, and although we all look down on his strength, we still have to give him some face. Pai Jaka explained. That's right. I understand. I'll go visit him now. If he can kill that Lin Yi and that warrior, that'd be great. Jishan nodded. That warrior is evidently a powerful physical practitioner as well, or else he wouldn't have been able to kill Pai Yangyang with one punch. But with Jianghu here, there's nothing he can do. That's right. That means we'll just sit back and enjoy the fruits of his labor. Pai Jaka nodded. At the same time, Yinjing's house you had also received the news of Jianghu leaving the mountain. On one hand, they were happy that someone was looking for trouble with Lin Yi, but on the other hand, they were a little disappointed House Yu's revenge couldn't be taken by them, and now it was in the hands of an outsider. But Boss Yu was on a mission to hide House Yu and he couldn't leave. He couldn't stop Jianghu either, and could only console himself that whoever killed Lin Yi was the same. As long as the revenge was done, who cared how it was done? In the hidden house Zhao, while they knew that Jianghu was looking for trouble with Lin Yi, the head of the house, Zhao Guangyin, could only keep quiet. Everything in House Zhao was decided by the old man. He was the head of the house in name, but his power was small. If he could touch Lin Yi, he would have done it a long time ago. This time, Jianghu had solved a problem for him, indirectly avenging Qibing. However, he couldn't say this aloud, so he just gave Qibing a call and told him to keep an eye on the situation. Qibing, while I can't avenge you personally this time, Jianghu is also looking for trouble with Lin Yi. When he does, you should go take a look as well. It'll count as getting revenge for you, Guangyin said as he dialed Qibing's number. Dad, it's such a shame that it's Jianghu. It'd be great if I killed Lin Yi myself. Qibing was a little reluctant. Qibing, you know my situation, it's very awkward in the hidden house Zhao. The old man doesn't give me any power, and I, as the young master, can't mobilize any Earth class and above. If I want to kill Lin Yi, I need an Earth class, Guangyin said, and my brother, your uncle, is also eyeing the position of the head of the house. If it weren't for the fact that Xiaojin from House Yu is my wife, my position wouldn't be so secure. So, son, you have to understand me. Chapter 1371. Qibing might have said that, but he didn't think that way. He wanted to be the head of House Zhao too. He was only saying that because he wasn't strong enough, but no matter what, he had to let Guangyin take the seat first if he wanted to be the head of House Zhao. Of course, Qintian received a call from Gonggao as well. Qintian, how have you been? I heard that 2 of the Shao clan's experts were killed? Gonggao went into isolation after breaking through to Mystic mid-phase. He heard this shocking news as soon as he came out. He knew that his grandson was close with the Shao family, and he was worried that he would be dragged into this. That's right, he was killed by my boss with a single punch. They were Mystic late-phase peak physical practitioners, and my boss killed them with one punch. That's pretty amazing. Qintian said proudly. Your boss? What? You're saying that your boss killed the Pai Masters? What's going on? Since when did you have a boss? Gonggao was shocked when he heard Qintian's words, his heart about to explode. You're a part of this too? Don't you know that they're a hidden house? You're in big trouble now. I didn't partake in it, I only accepted him as my boss after. I saw him kill Pai Yangyang with one punch, that's why I accepted him as my boss. If he gives me some pointers, I'll be rich. Qintian said gleefully. Idiot. Why are you so stupid? Other people would try to hide from something like this, and you actually acknowledged him as your boss? I heard that he's Lin Yi's follower, and you acknowledge Lin Yi as your boss too? Gonggao was furious. Cut off all contact with him, or our house will be done for. Nope, I recognize Lin Yi's follower Air Gooden as my boss. Lin Yi is my boss now. Qintian said, how can House Wu be destroyed? On the contrary, I feel that this is a good opportunity for the Wu family to rise. With Big Brother Gooden and Big Brother Lin Yi's guidance, my skills will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. If our Wu family has a young expert like me, we will be able to gain a foothold in the aristocratic family meeting. Aren't you and Lin Yi mortal enemies? Why did he recognize him as the boss? You idiot, the sect leader of the Golden Clock sect, Jianghu, has already left the mountain, and his target is Lin Yi. This time Lin Yi is dead for sure. Hurry up and draw a line with them. Otherwise our Wu family will be implicated. Wu Gonggao said angrily. Golden Bell Clan's Jianghu? Wasn't that a master at the peak of early phase Earth class? He wants to deal with Big Boss? No, I have to tell Big Brother Gooden and have him prepare. Qintian's first reaction was to tell Air Gooden. Fuck. You idiot, if Jianghu makes a move there's no way Lin Yi will survive. If you leak the news it will definitely implicate our Wu clan. Gonggao was about to explode. Was this grandson stupid? He was still on Lin Yi's side at a time like this. Plus, weren't he and Lin Yi love rivals? With that thought, Gonggao asked, isn't Lin Yi your love rival? What? Oh, since Big Brother likes Sun Jingyi, I as his follower can't fight for her. I can only give her up. But it doesn't matter, what's a man afraid of not having a wife? Once I become a mystic, I'll be able to find anyone I want. It's not a problem for me to have multiple wives. Qintian was quite open-minded. Sun Jingyi is good, but she doesn't belong to me. I won't waste my effort on her, I don't want to make Big Boss unhappy. Alright Grandpa, I won't talk to you anymore. I have to hurry and find Boss Gooden. Traitor. What a traitor. I'm so pissed. Gonggao's heart spasmed, and his eyes rolled back as he fainted. But Qintian had already hung up, not knowing that his grandpa had fainted again. Qintian rushed to the Chu villa where Lin Yi was, pressing the doorbell. The door god Air Gooden heard the doorbell and walked out to see who it was. He paused when he saw Qintian. You're that Wu something? Why are you here? Wu Qintian. Qintian introduced himself with a face full of smiles. Boss Gooden, I'm here to tell you something. Tell me something? What do you mean? Gooden paused, not understanding. It's like this, according to reliable sources, the head of the Golden Bell sect, Jianghu, came down the mountain to cause trouble for Big Boss Lin Yi. I heard that he's an Earth class early phase peak. I wonder if Boss Gooden can handle him? Qintian said. Earth class early phase peak? Is he strong? Gooden frowned. He used to live in a village and he didn't know much about strength classifications, so he really was asking if an Earth class was strong. But in Qintian's ears, it became Gooden's disdainful question. Was an Earth class strong? Ah, of course he's not that strong in your eyes, Boss Gooden, but I heard that his physical training has reached the peak of perfection, and he's a master of Golden Shield. Normal Sky class masters can't do anything to him. Qintian reminded. What Golden Bell cover at the peak? If he dares come, I'll kill him with one punch. Gooden didn't care if he had the Golden Bell cover or not. If he really came looking for trouble, he'd kill him with one punch. Ah. Suddenly, a piercing laughter came from outside the villa. From a car, a white-robed old man came down, and the laughter came from his mouth. Behind him were Zhen Dazhou, Zhen Yingjun, Pai Jishan, the two Xiao family brothers, and Zhao Qibing in a wheelchair. These people all had a direct grudge against Lin Yi, so after visiting Jianghu they came to watch. The white-robed old man was Jianghu. Zhen Yingjun, Pai Jishan, the Xiao family brothers, and Zhao Qibing all thought that Lin Yi was dead for sure. Chapter 1372. Old man, what's wrong with you? Why are you laughing at our door? If there's nothing, leave. I'm the bodyguard here and I don't allow strangers around here. Gooden looked at Woody thinking that he was an idiot. Kid, I'm Jianghu. Didn't you say you wanted to kill me with one punch? Jianghu once again laughed mockingly like he had heard a joke. Ha, ignorant brat. You're Jianghu? Gooden paused, not expecting this idiot to be the Jianghu Qintian was talking about. That's me. Woody said proudly. He's Jianghu? Why's he acting like an idiot? Gooden looked at Woody and turned to Qintian. Is there a mistake? Boss, I think it's him. Qintian looked at Jianghu. He hadn't seen him before, but he knew the people behind him. With them here, no one would try to impersonate Jianghu. Oh, then you're Jianghu. Old man, what are you doing here? I heard you're here to cause trouble for my boss? If that's the case, then I'll have to kill you with one punch. Gooden looked at Woody. Ah. Wudi started laughing once more, extremely joyful. He turned around and looked at Zhenningjun and Pai Jishan, his expression very interesting. Did you hear that? He said he's going to kill me with one punch. Do you think that's funny? Ah. Zhenningjun laughed. This guy is overestimating himself and wanting to kill the invincible elder with one punch? Even 100 punches wouldn't kill him, he'd tire himself to death, haha. Jin Wudi nodded in satisfaction at Zhenningjun's cooperation. Wu Qintian, what's wrong with you? Why are you on Lin Yi's side? Could it be that you want to become enemies with Xiao family, House Pai and House Zhao? Wangba pointed at Qintian. House Wu was Xiao family's ally, but who would have thought that Wu Qintian would suddenly take the enemy as his boss? Lin Yi is my boss now, so of course I'm on his side. Qintian said matter-of-factly, the people your Xiao family hired are too weak. They're too weak in front of my boss, let alone my boss. I want to learn kung fu from them. I want to become a powerful person. Wu Qintian, have you thought about the consequences? Wangba's face was disrespected, his tone darkened. You have to know that you are going against our Xiao family, House Pai and even House Zhao. What are you? You're that old woman's son? Shut up first or else I'll kill you too. And the rest of you shut up. Guden was getting annoyed by these people. This Wu Qintian wasn't strong but he was loyal. He took him as his boss and he hadn't even taught him anything yet, and he was already so loyal. This gave Guden a good impression of him. Actually, Qintian was a bit arrogant, but he wasn't a complete idiot. He had his own plans. In the martial world, the biggest taboo was people who went back on their word. He used to be friends with the Xiao family brothers, so it wasn't a big deal. But now that he had Guden as his boss, things were different. So, since Qintian had his eyes set on Guden, he'd follow him to the end. Of course, he had high hopes for Guden as well, thinking that he could win. Otherwise, why would Guden say that Earth class was powerful? Qibing started laughing loudly. Who do you think you are? Even Lin Yi wouldn't dare say something like that, and you're just a follower of Lin Yi. How dare you be so arrogant? Don't you know that people get hurt easily when they're too arrogant? Oh, I know it's because you're too arrogant, that's why Shield Bro broke your leg. Yushu looked at Qibing sympathetically. At this time, Yushu and Mengyao came out as well. They heard the commotion in the villa and naturally came out to see what was going on. They didn't expect to see so many people. Yushu, don't be so arrogant. Zhenningjun's going to play with you soon. Qibing's eyes flashed with hatred when he saw Yushu. Oh, that's not going to happen. Yushu said nonchalantly, it'll be Shield Bro playing with me. As for that Zhenningjun, he'll be pissing his pants when Jin Wudi dies. It doesn't matter what you say. Qibing didn't believe that a follower of Lin Yi could fight against Jin Wudi. But why wasn't Lin Yi here? Prophet Shu's always accurate. See for yourself if you don't believe me. Yushu looked at Qibing with disdain as if he was ignorant. What's going on? Mengyao waved her hand, telling Yushu to stop talking. She looked at Guden. This Jin Wudi, he said he's here to cause trouble for boss. Should I just kill him? Guden pointed at Jin Wudi. You want to cause trouble for Lin Yi? Mengyao frowned and looked at Jin Wudi. I don't just want Lin Yi's life, I'll bring you 2 girls back as well. I took 10 million from House Zhen to bring you back for them to play with. Wudi said nonchalantly, not afraid that Mengyao would find out. You. Mengyao wanted to ask what was going on, but the old man said something so shameless. She was a bit pissed. Guden, kill him then. Shu, let's go back. Going back won't do anything, I'll take care of Lin Yi and this brat and then I'll bring you back. With that, Wudi turned to Guden. Where's Lin Yi? Tell him to come out and die as well, this turtle, letting his follower take the blame. As far as Wudi was concerned, Guden was just an idiot talking about killing people every time he opened his mouth. Didn't he know that his main skill was the golden shield? Did he think he was strong just because he killed 2 mystics from House Pai? Boss isn't here, he told me to protect Mengyao and Yushu. If you want to capture them, then I'll have to kill you. Guden said seriously, Old man, do you really want to die? Chapter 1373. All right. Guden nodded. He was trying to distract Wudi and kill him in one move, but he didn't expect Wudi to give him the chance. Guden was overjoyed. Jin Wudi laughed and patted his chest. He stood in the courtyard and said, Hit me, I will let you hit me. Let's see if you can kill me. Ignorant brat, have you heard of the golden shield? No. Guden said honestly, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds really strong. I should be able to kill you. Guden's words drew a wave of laughter from everyone present, especially Zhenningjun and Qibing. Zhenningjun wasn't from a noble house and he didn't have the rules of a noble house, so he didn't care. Qibing, on the other hand, was from a hidden noble house, so he didn't care either. The Xiao family brothers, on the other hand, didn't dare laugh too much since Jishan and Qibing were there. Jishan, on the other hand, was an introverted man. He came here to support Wudi, but he wasn't the type to show his emotions on his face. Plus, he knew that the two masters from House Pai weren't top-level masters, but they were killed so easily by Lin Yi's men. This meant that Uncle Pai's death wasn't a coincidence. Even if Go Huli didn't hit him, he wouldn't be able to live for long. If Lin Yi and Guden were this strong, then where did these two come from? Could they really be from some ancient sect or ancient house? Even someone like Jishan hadn't heard of these two before. These two couldn't have come out of nowhere, could they? Hence, before Pai Jishan could confirm this point, he would not show his attitude. If even Wudi wasn't a match for them, then he'd have to go back to House Pai and plan things out. If these two really came from the ancient world, then House Pai would be in trouble. In the eyes of the ancient sects and families, the hidden aristocratic families weren't much. They were experts at the peak of the late phase of the Heaven Realm. Fine, then I'll let you hit me. If you can't kill me, I'll destroy your entire family. Jin Wudi looked at Guden mockingly. He really didn't know fear, didn't he? He didn't even know about the golden shield and he dared to attack. Not far from the Chu family's villa, a black figure was anxiously making a phone call. Elderly, I am Shadow 13. Jin Wudi has come down the mountain, but I have been here for a few days and haven't seen Lin Yi. He seems to have gone out and only sent one of his brothers to protect the Little Mississippi. Now Jin Wudi has come and said that he wants to capture the Little Miss. The Black Shadow's voice was a little rushed. What? How is Jin Wudi so fast? Elderly was visibly shocked. He hadn't expected Jin Wudi to come down the mountain in just a day. Originally, he wanted to inform Lin Yi through the Dark Shadow group to make preparations or to lie low for a while, but he didn't expect that the other party wouldn't give him any time at all. What do we do now? Dark Shadow requesting backup. Shadow 13 said, both sides are at each other's throats, but from what Jin Wudi said, the Little Miss will be fine for now, but that Zhen Yingjun wants to take her away. If we have time, we can save her. Elder Li's heart was burning with anxiety, but there was nothing he could do. These years, his control over the Dark Palace was getting weaker and weaker. All the power was concentrated in the hands of the Great Elder, and he could only control the Dark Shadow group. But the Dark Shadow group's cultivation was the kind of qinggong that was used for hiding and gathering information, not for attacking. Other than the Dark Shadow group, however, he couldn't use anyone else. I'll report to the Grand Elder right now. Elderly said, keep an eye on the situation, report to me immediately if there's any news. Yes, sir. Shadow 13 replied. After hanging up the phone, Elderly hurriedly ran to the Grand Elder's residence. Elderly, what's wrong? The Grand Elder glanced at Elderly, who ran in anxiously, frowned slightly, and asked indifferently, You're already an adult, why are you so anxious? Grand Elder, the Little Miss is in danger, I'm requesting backup. Elderly was an elder of the Dark Palace, and naturally he was allowed to enter the Grand Elder's residence. However, the Grand Elder was a bit impatient with him, and every time he came it was always about Meng Yao. Danger? What does it have to do with you? What does it have to do with the Dark Palace? The Grand Elder asked back. Grand Elder, that is Mrs. Bloodline after all. She might also have the bloodline of the Dark Phoenix clan. She might be the next palace master of our palace. Elderly said, someone with the bloodline of the Dark Phoenix clan has the highest chance of breaking through to sky rank. Back then, old madam, all right. You've said this 100 times already, how could one and a mortal have the Dark Phoenix bloodline? It's all impurities and it'll be hard for her to achieve anything on the path of martial arts. Do you want me to give her a bone-cleansing pill? The Grand Elder waved his hand impatiently. If you can get me a bone-cleansing pill, I'll agree to bring that little bastard back. Elderly couldn't help but smile bitterly after hearing the Grand Elder's words. Bone-cleansing pill was such a powerful medicine. There was only one in the Sky Elixir sect's vault, how could they give it to him? Even if there wasn't a grudge between the Sky Elixir sect and the Dark Palace, even if the Sky Elixir sect's young master had married one back then, he wouldn't have used the bone-cleansing pill on a child. One had to know that the true use of the bone-cleansing pill was for those who reached Sky Class, to pursue higher realms. Saying that it was priceless was an understatement. The Grand Elder's words were tantamount to blocking Elder Li's following words. Because the Grand Elder's condition was completely impossible to fulfill. But it's better than nothing, right? Elder Li said carefully. I've already tested her back then. If she really had talent, would I still need you to tell me? The Grand Elder said faintly, all right, there's no need to talk about this anymore, you can leave. Grand Elder, please reconsider. Elderly didn't seem to give up. Grand Elder, do you really want to watch Little Miss be tainted by bad people? Chapter 1374. This. I will take my leave. Elderly let out a long sigh and walked out of the Grand Elder's residence dejectedly. In his heart he was hesitating whether he should tell young Miss about this matter. But if he were to tell young Miss would definitely be heartbroken and might do something. But if he were to not tell, once young Miss knew the truth, she would definitely hate him in her heart. At that moment, Elderly was in a dilemma, not knowing what to do. Lin Yi, you're not a good bodyguard at all, leaving at a time like this. If something really happens to Miss Xiao Xiao, I won't let you go. Elderly gritted his teeth and thought to himself, the day of the Heaven class meeting is getting closer and closer. When the Great Elder isn't in the Palace of Darkness, I'll go down the mountain and kill every single one of you. House Yu, Xiao family, Golden Clock sect, Hidden House Pai, Hidden House Zhao, I'll bring my men and kill every single one of you. At the entrance of House Chu's villa, the tension continued. Then I'll do it? Gooden looked at Jean Wudi, who stood in front of him with his chest puffed out. Go ahead. Wudi stood proudly in the yard, his eyes full of disdain. Even those famous masters from the hidden houses wouldn't dare say they could kill him with one punch, let alone an ignorant kid like you. Ask them if they could even injure him with one punch. They wouldn't even break a bone in his body. Gooden nodded and gritted his teeth, channeling his energy, and punched out. There was a loud explosion and Jean Wudi disappeared. Where did he go? Gooden paused. Zhen Yingjun suddenly burst into laughter. Ha, old ancestor Wudi dodged it. Look at your idiot face. But did Jean Wudi really dodge it? Gooden felt that he'd definitely hit the target, and he'd used all his strength to do it. He didn't know how strong an Earth class was, but just looking at these people's faces he knew that they were strong. In order to kill this person, Gooden had to use all his strength to do that punch. The goal was to kill Jean Wudi with one punch, to prevent any future problems. Luckily he didn't need to sneak attack. Jean Wudi gave him a chance to go all out. After that punch, Gooden felt the blood in his body surge, and the poison in his body couldn't be suppressed anymore. It was starting to move. Gooden had a limit to how much strength he could use, and this time he was at the edge of his limit. But Gooden was an honest guy, but he wasn't stupid. He couldn't do anything inappropriate right now, or Mengyao and Yushu would be in danger. He wouldn't be able to complete the mission his boss gave him. Gooden was starting to regret it. He should have killed Pai Yangyang and Mr. Pai with one punch the first time he saw them. He didn't waste so much energy and end up fighting them a second time. Only the idiot Zhen Yingjun thought that Jean Wudi had dodged it. Pai Jishan's expression was ugly. Jean Wudi's dead. Qintian suddenly pointed at the wall outside the villa excitedly. Everyone followed Qintian's gaze and saw that Jean Wudi's entire body had sunk into the opposite wall of the villa. His chest was caved in, his eyes were bulging out, and his mouth was full of blood. Evidently he wasn't going to make it. Gooden breathed in relief. It was good that he was dead. He didn't think that his punch would be so strong that he'd sent Wudi flying across the street. No wonder he was looking for him. What? Qibin paused. He's dead? Jishan took a deep breath and walked towards Gooden. What are you doing? Do you want to die too? Gooden said fiercely. He couldn't do it again. Hero Godan, you've misunderstood. Pai Jishan stopped in his tracks, not daring to walk any further. This guy looked like a simple-minded person, but he could easily kill someone with a single punch. Pai Jishan didn't dare to do anything rash. If he was killed by this guy again, it would be a huge loss. What misunderstanding? Gooden asked. There seems to be some misunderstanding between you and House Pai. I'm the young master of House Pai Jishan. I apologize on behalf of the two Pais. We House Pai have no intention of becoming enemies with you and your boss Lin Yi. We hope you don't mind, Master Gooden. Jishan was a man who knew when to give and when to stand up. He was the proud first successor of House Pai, and it was hard for him to say something like this. But he had to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. Jishan understood the situation. This Gooden was too strong. He could kill someone like Jean Wudi with his golden shield in one punch. Wouldn't that be like a game to him? Even his father, Pai Jiaka, couldn't do anything to Jean Wudi, so if this guy were to beat his father, it'd be a piece of cake. Oh, I killed those two already and they learned their lesson. I won't cause you any trouble. If there's nothing else, you can leave. Gooden said it like it was nothing, but he was panicking on the inside. He forced himself not to spit out a mouthful of blood, feeling really uncomfortable. If that's the case, then I'll be leaving. We owe you a favor, Master Gooden. If you need anything in the future, just let us know. Jishan knew that Gooden didn't want to talk to him, so he cupped his fist and gestured to the Xiao family brothers before leaving with them. Wang Ba and Wang Dao on the other hand were regretting their mouths. If they knew that Qin Tian's boss was this strong, they wouldn't have said anything. If they had medicine for regret, Xiao family would have joined Lin Yi. Look, House Wu's glory days were just around the corner. Jin Dazhou and Jin Yingjun were dumbfounded as well. He died just like that? Fuck, what kind of terrifying existence was this family? Last time Ma Zhu was heavily injured, but at least he survived. This time he didn't even get to say a few words and he was killed. The two looked at each other, seeing the fear in each other's eyes. Last time when Ma Zhu was injured, the father and son still had the intention of revenge in their hearts. But now they knew that revenge had become a joke. An Earth-class master could be killed with one punch. Then, in the eyes of others, what difference was there between them and ants? Chapter 1375. With that thought, the two wanted to slip away but Yushu stopped them. Hey wait, didn't you want to play with us? Fuck. Zhen Yingjun stumbled, almost falling. Play with his head? He might not be a man or a woman right now, but he wasn't dead yet. If he played with her then he'd really be dead. So he quickly smiled and said, Ha, Sister Shu, I was just joking. You can be played by your shield bro. I'm leaving now. Bye, that's more like it, Scram. Yushu was very happy after hearing that and let him go for now. Zhen Dazhou and Zhen Yingjun turned and left as if they were pardoned. Only Zhao Qibing was left in the wheelchair. Hey Zhao Qibing, did you see that? Prophet Shu is so strong, arrogant people get punished. Look, Jean Wudi's dead, right? Yushu looked at Qibing. I'm sorry, we're just passing by, we're actually here to buy some soy sauce. Sihua, who was pushing Qibing's wheelchair, was the first to react. He grinned and said innocently, we're just here to watch the show, we'll be leaving now. Yeah, we're here to watch. Qibing quickly said, annoyed. He shouldn't have come if he'd known. What the hell was this, Jean Wudi? Invincible? Invincible my ass. Qibing left as well, and Gooden's calm face turned an unhealthy shade of red. Paf dash, he spat out a mouthful of blood and held his chest. He hadn't felt this in years, ever since the first time he felt this pain. He'd been drinking the mystical spring water ever since, but now that he didn't have any, he could only endure it. Boss, what's wrong? Qin Tian was calling someone to get rid of Jean Wudi's body. This wasn't a problem for a noble like him, but he saw Gooden spitting out blood. Xiao, what's wrong? Yushu jumped up. Are you hurt? Zhou Jiaming, are you okay? I'll call Faubert and get him to send you to the hospital? Meng Yao asked. No need. Gooden waved his hand. He knew his situation and going to the hospital wouldn't help much. Qin Tian quickly held him up. Boss, I'll help you in? Gooden nodded, thinking that Qin Tian was a nice guy. He wanted to take him in as a follower. After entering the villa, Gooden sat on the sofa with an ugly expression on his face, as if he was about to die from a disease. Boss, what do we do now? House Wu isn't as rich as you, but we do have some good medicine. Should I get someone to send you some? Qin Tian asked. No need. Thank you. Gooden looked at Qin Tian and sighed. I'm injured, so I need to rest for a while. Boss Lin Yi isn't back yet, so can you stay in the villa and protect Meng Yao and Yushu? He had no choice but to give Qin Tian the task of protecting Meng Yao and Yushu. He didn't know what Qin Tian was like, but he didn't have a choice. He'd let Faubert stay at night, and with Faubert there, Qin Tian wouldn't be able to do anything. Deal? Gooden didn't know what Qin Tian's personality was like, but it was a last resort. He'd let Faubert stay at night as well, and with Faubert there, Qin Tian wouldn't be able to do anything. Deal? Qin Tian patted his chest without hesitation. Boss, don't worry, leave this to me. I'll protect Meng Yao and Yushu. I'll be here if they're in trouble. Qin Tian's arrogance was real, but his words were true. He had no choice as the heir of House Wu. This was the first time he'd stood on Lin Yi's side, and after what happened today he was now Lin Yi's follower. If something really happened to Meng Yao and Yushu, it meant that Lin Yi was done for as well, and so was House Wu. So, he could only do his best to protect Meng Yao and Yushu. There was no other way. Everything that happened fell into Shadow 13's eyes. After Jean Wudi died, he called Elderly again. How is it? Is the mist taken away? Elderly picked up the phone and asked worriedly, his voice lacking the calmness that an elder of an ancient sect should have. It wasn't his fault. This involved the daughter of the miss he loved the most. How could he keep calm? Elderly, Jean Wudi's dead. That was the first thing he said. Dead? Elderly was shocked. How did he die? Did a master do something? No, it's Lin Yi's follower, that Gooden hero or something, and he killed Jean Wudi with one punch. Shadow 13 was shocked as well. Just what kind of person was this, to be able to kill an Earth-class early-phase peak with one punch? He killed Jean Wudi with one punch? How strong is he? Elder Li's mouth was wide open. Wasn't this Lin Yi follower too strong? Yes, one punch. More accurately, it was 2 fists. As for how strong he is, I can't tell. Shadow 13 frowned. I can tell Jin Wudi's strength, I can tell Pai Jishan's strength, but I can't tell how strong this Gooden hero is. What? You can't tell? How old is he? Elder Li was even more shocked. The Dark Shadow group wasn't good at attacking, but they were good at gathering intel. They had a special ability that allowed them to see through a practitioner's strength, and the Dark Shadow group couldn't see through them unless they knew how to hide their strength, or if they were already Sky-class late phase peak, starting to return to their original state. But how old was Lin Yi's follower? How could he be a Sky-class late phase peak? Not old, he should be around 20. Shadow 13 said, I suspect that he doesn't have any strength at all, he's an unranked master. Unranked master? Elder Li paused. An unranked master could kill Jin Wudi, an Earth-class early phase peak with a golden bell shield. Chapter 1376. Phew. But no matter what, this matter has passed peacefully. Little Miss is fine and I can rest assured. Pay close attention to the follow-up news and report to me at any time. Elder Li finally let out a sigh of relief in his heart. It seemed like Lin Yi had arranged everything perfectly, and he'd worried for nothing. He was an elder of the Dark Palace, and he wasn't even as good as that little bodyguard of Lin Yi. Yes. Shadow 13 replied, Don't worry, Elder Li, but we, the Dark Shadow group, can only gather information. We can't deal with sudden incidents. This Shadow 13 was one of Elder Li's confidants, so he didn't have to worry too much about what he said. But I'll have to fight with the Grand Elder again, but you've brought good news this time. It seems like this Lin Yi's background is strong enough. Elder Li exclaimed, If he really is that strong, then I'm sure the Grand Elder won't stop us. Shadow 13 didn't dare say much about the internal affairs of the Dark Palace, and hung up after listening quietly. Elder Li, on the other hand, headed to the Grand Elder's residence. Why are you here again? Seeing that Elder Li had returned, the Grand Elder was immediately a little annoyed. Why was there no end to this person? His face was a little cold. Grand Elder, I have something important to report. Elder Li said quickly. If it's about that little bitch Meng Yao, then don't bother, I'm going to train. The Grand Elder interrupted impatiently. This matter concerns the little miss, but... Elder Li was a little hesitant. The Grand Elder's words had blocked all the words he wanted to say. But what? Whether she lives or dies has nothing to do with me. The Grand Elder waved his hand, ready to chase him away. Grand Elder, let me finish. It's like this, that Jin Wudi was killed. Elder Li saw that the Grand Elder wasn't giving him any leeway and he could only continue. The one who killed Jin Wudi was Lin Yi's follower? What do you want to tell me? Is Lin Yi's little brother very powerful? The Grand Elder frowned. What's so strange about killing an Earth-class master? Can't we kill each other? Elder on the stage, little Mrs. Bodyguard isn't weak. A bodyguard's underling can kill an Earth-stage master with a casual punch. What kind of strength does this underling need? According to my investigation, Lin Yi is only at the mystic stage. Why is this little brother willing to be the little brother of a mystic stage master? Elder Li analyzed, this Lin Yi, I'm afraid he has a certain power behind him. Maybe he's the young master of some family or sect. At the level of the ancient sects and ancient families, do you think I don't know what kind of disciples there are? Do I need you to analyze it? The Grand Elder humphed coldly. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You're just saying that to make me think that Lin Yi has a powerful background, and for us to rope him in. But as far as I'm concerned, that Lin Yi is just a freelancer. His strength isn't enough to enter the eyes of the Dark Palace. Elder Li was a bit awkward. That was what he was thinking, but the Grand Elder had seen through him. Even so, it's not easy to have this kind of strength in the common world. As the saying goes, one more friend means one more path. Even if he's a freelancer, it's still worth it for us to rope him in. Now that he's shown such talent, if other sects get him first. He's just a mortal freelancer, he's not worth the Dark Palace recruiting. But this Pengzhan is quite skillful. Where did he find such a bodyguard? The Grand Elder said faintly, but you should investigate this Lin Yi's background. If he's really worth it, then we might as well give him some benefits. Whatever Pengzhan can give him, we can give him too. Grand Elder, you mean? Poaching? Elder Li was taken aback. Didn't you tell me that this person has potential, that he's worth recruiting? The Grand Elder said faintly. But, Miss. Elder Li paused, wondering if he'd done something unnecessary. He'd shot himself in the foot. Now Lin Yi was being watched by the Grand Elder, and he was being roped into the Palace of Darkness. What about Mingyao's safety? Are you trying to recruit a talent, or are you worried about the safety of a little bastard? The Grand Elder was a bit annoyed. All right, you can leave. People like you who care about this and that every day, people who are blinded by love, don't even think about the future of the Palace of Darkness. All you care about is that little bastard. If that little bastard can turn the Dark Palace into a first-class ancient sect, I'll even be her servant, otherwise there's no way. Then I'll take my leave. Elder Li sighed helplessly, but he didn't dare to say anything more. The Great Elder was an extremist. As long as it was good for the Dark Palace and could promote the development of the Dark Palace, then she would sacrifice her life for it. But if it wasn't good for the Dark Palace, she wouldn't give in even if she was beaten to death. Elder Li, on the other hand, was afraid that he'd said too much, and the Grand Elder insisted on recruiting Lin Yi to the Dark Palace. That way, where would Pingzhan find another powerful bodyguard? So Elder Li decided to leave first. He turned and left the Grand Elder's place. In the Xiao family villa, Pai Jishan sat on the sofa with a serious face. Beside him was Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben, while Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao stood respectfully on the side. By now Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben had learned of what had happened, and they were both shocked. They thought that with Jin Wudi, Lin Yi's family would be dead for sure, but in the blink of an eye, it was Jin Wudi's death. Even the young master of House Pai had lowered his head. Didn't that mean that Xiao family was in danger? Master Pai, you can't just leave Xiao family like that. We offended House Chu this time to help House Pai get some wealth. You can't just leave us like that. Xiao Ji was afraid that House Pai would just leave them be. They were a hidden house, and if they just left, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to find them. Chapter 1377. Since House Pai chose to work with House Xiao, naturally we won't leave you guys alone. Plus, you guys were doing this for House Pai's money. Now that something happened, we can't just walk away. Jishan waved his hand, telling Xiao Ji not to worry. Jishan was a scheming man, or else he wouldn't be the first heir of House Pai. As far as he was concerned, what the Xiao family did pissed him off, but they couldn't let go of the Xiao family right now. If they really did leave the Xiao family alone, it'd be a huge blow to House Pai's reputation. People worked for you, and if you left them alone after something happened, who would work for you in the future? House Pai's reputation would be tarnished, and they wouldn't be able to earn money in the common world. Naturally, Jishan wouldn't do anything that would disappoint the Xiao family. Haha, big bro, you're worrying too much. Master Pai isn't that kind of person. If he didn't want to care about us, he wouldn't be sitting here. Xiao Ben laughed, praising Jishan. He and Xiao Ji had been brothers for so many years and they had great teamwork. With the two of them working together, they tied House Pai and Xiao family together. Jishan, of course, knew what the Xiao family brothers were up to. He just didn't want to expose them, smiling faintly. But that heir Gooden really isn't easy to mess with. You guys stay away from him and don't mess with him, and don't even think about touching House Chu. All in all, House Pai is dead and the grudge is over. This was caused by Jin Wudi, and it doesn't have much to do with us. If we don't do anything, Lin Yi probably won't come looking for trouble anymore. That's true. Xiao Ji nodded. This time he didn't dare think about anything anymore. Even House Pai gave in. How many brains did he have? Anyways, be careful when you do business. With your Xiao family's influence in the common world and House Pai's name, you don't have to do anything illegal to earn money. Don't think of anything bad in the future. Look at House Yu's business, isn't it doing well too? Jishan stated his standpoint. The noble houses weren't part of the rules, but Jishan didn't want any more trouble, especially with Lin Yi and heir Gooden. If he pissed them off, it wouldn't be worth it. Yes, you're right, young Master Pai. Xiao Ben nodded and said, in the future, let's do some proper business. It's good that you know. Alright then, I'll go back first. In a few days, House Pai will send another master over, but I'll restrict him as well. He can only do anything if his business is affected. As for business, he's forbidden from participating. Jishan said. House Pai had quite a lot of masters, but they couldn't afford to lose so much. If this one died, it'd be a huge loss for House Pai. Young Master Pai, this time, can you send us an Earth class? Xiao Ji looked at the Earth class, his heart itching. If House Xiao had an Earth class, they'd be stronger than House Yu. They'd become the #1 noble house in the upcoming noble house meeting. Many people were like that, they didn't know how to be satisfied. Xiao Ji was still hoping that House Pai wouldn't give up on Xiao family, but now he wanted someone stronger. Earth class definitely won't do. Jishan waved his hand. Hidden noble houses have their own rules, and there's an arbitration association that keeps the balance. Jin Wudi came out of seclusion, but he had to apply for it. We, House Pai, may be investigating Uncle Pai's death and interfering with the common world's business, but our goal is to make money, different from Jianghu. House Pai should be more discreet, and as long as they don't cause us trouble, we won't apply for anything. I see. Xiaoji was a little disappointed. Then he's still a mystic? Yes, a mystic in the common world. As long as you don't mess with people like Lin Yi and Air Gooden, you'd be considered one of the top. Zhishan said, I'll go back. I still need to report what happened here to my father. Master Pai, then tell me, that Gooden master was able to kill an Earth class. What class is he? How did he get permission to appear here? Xiao Ben asked curiously. There are even stronger existences above the hidden noble houses that you don't know about. It's best if you don't know about. Knowing too much isn't necessarily a good thing. Zhishan said. Yes. Xiao Ben's face turned serious, not daring to keep asking as he sent Zhishan out of Xiao family. After leaving Xiao family, Zhishan didn't go straight back to House Pai. Instead, he found a place with no one around and called his father, Pai Jiaka. Zhishan, how's the situation over there? Is Linny dead? Jiaka asked. Father, there's been an accident. Jin Wudi was killed? Zhishan said. What? Beaten to death? What happened? Who killed him? Pai Jiaka was taken aback and quickly asked. Zhishan told his father everything that happened in detail, not hiding anything. He even told his father about how he apologized to Gooden. Zhishan, you did the right thing. Lowering your head now is the right. A man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. If it's really like what you said, then there's a big problem here. That Lin Yi's follower is already this strong. He's probably from the ancient level. Jiaka said seriously. If that's the case, then House Pai can't mess with him. Yeah, father, but the weird thing is, when this Gooden attacked, I didn't feel any energy ripples from him. It's like he's not a practitioner. This was what Zhishan found strange. No energy ripples? How is that possible? Whether it's a spiritual practitioner or a physical practitioner, they all show their strength when they attack. It's impossible to hide it even if they wanted to, so why can't you feel it? Jiaka paused. That's the only thing I'm confused about, Zhishan said. Here you look around stealthily. With your skills, that Gooden shouldn't be able to sense you. You're a physical practitioner and you're good at hiding your presence. You look around and see if you can find any clues. Jiaka said. Alright, I haven't left anymore. I'll go take a look, Zhishan nodded. Chapter 1378. There weren't any masters in the Chu villa right now, only Wu Qintian, a golden class early phase. Faubert was on his way back, but he hadn't arrived yet, so Zhishan easily found Gooden's room. Zhishan put his ear on the wall, listening to the movements in the room. Hello? Hello, is this Grandpa Lin? I'm Air Gooden. Gooden was weakly calling old Lin on the phone. Now that he saw Lin Yi, he naturally got old Lin's number again. Now that Lin Yi wasn't here, he could only ask old Lin for help. Air Gooden? How are you? Why do you sound so weak? What's wrong? Old Lin didn't know what to make of Gooden's sudden call. He knew that Lin Yi had asked Gooden to protect Mingyao and Yushu, but he wouldn't call if it wasn't something important. Grandpa Lin, I've used up all my strength and I can't suppress the negative effects anymore. What should I do? Lin Yi boss isn't back yet and I can't leave the villa yet. If I don't finish the mission. Gooden said. What? You've used up all your strength? Old Lin paused. Air Gooden, if that's the case, you have to come back immediately. Otherwise your life might be in danger. Fine, I can still hold on. Gooden smiled bitterly. Plus, I have to hold on. This is the mission boss gave me and I can't let him down. Then you can't use any more strength. Just lie in bed every day and when Lin Yi comes back, you go back to West Star Village immediately. Old Lin said after a sigh. He knew Gooden's personality. He was honest but stubborn. He promised Lin Yi that he would do something and he wouldn't stop halfway. Yeah, I know. I'm lying in bed every day. Once Lin Yi boss comes back, I'll go back, Gooden said. Hearing this, Pai Zhishan's expression became even more confused. What was going on? There seemed to be a limit to Gooden's strength? Once it's used, it can't be used again? Moreover, he was leaving? Does that mean that this person is no longer a threat? No wonder she couldn't tell what level Gooden was at. He wasn't a practitioner at all, but had some special properties that allowed him to use unimaginable strength? But Zhishan was a careful man. He didn't dare go in and test the waters. He didn't want to make Gooden and Lin Yi his enemy right now. He was used to planning before taking action. Everything had to be told to his father first. Everything had to be discussed before a decision could be made. At that moment there was a car sound in the villa's yard. Zhishan didn't dare stay any longer. He turned and left the villa, disappearing without a trace. Faubert had just come back and he didn't notice that someone had come to the yard. He was worried about Gooden, and after getting off the car, he rushed into the villa to see him. At this moment, Gooden didn't know that his secret was already known by House Pai. Qibing and Sihua practically ran back to the floating cloud bar. They were both pissed that not only was Lin Yi not dead, but Jin Wudi was killed by one of Lin Yi's lackeys. But through this, Qibing saw how strong Lin Yi was. Even his lackeys were this strong. Qibing decided that he shouldn't mess with Lin Yi for now. Who was Pai Jishan? He was the first heir of the hidden House Pai, and if he could lower his head to Gooden, then what was there to be proud of? He was the rightful head of the house and he was just a bastard child. Even Jin Wudi was dead in the sect. Lin Yi wouldn't even blink if he killed him. And now, Qibing finally understood why Lin Yi was so fearless. He knew that he was from a hidden house and still dared to kill him. But now that he thought about it, he was really lucky that he didn't die. Was House Zhao stronger than the Golden Bell sect? Even House Zhao didn't dare do anything to them, but Lin Yi and his lackeys had crippled the master and disciple. Call my father. Before we have absolute confidence, don't touch Lin Yi. Let him have his fun for now. Qibing looked at Sihua and sighed. Although he felt wronged when he said this, he had to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. It didn't matter if he felt wronged or not, he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi. All he could do was endure it. Master Bing, you did the right thing. A man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. There's a saying that goes, 10 years is not too late for a man to take revenge. We'll take care of Lin Yi when the day comes. Sihua nodded. Yao Wang and Uncle Zhu were silent as well. After fighting with Lin Yi for so long, they had to swallow their anger. I don't accept this. We must kill Lin Yi as soon as possible. Although Uncle Zhu's body had recovered quite a bit, it was still a lot more difficult for him to regain his peak strength. If my big brother was here, he wouldn't have let me suffer. I don't know where the family head sent my big brother to carry out his mission. If he had stayed at home, I'm afraid he would have broken through to Earth class already. Uncle Zhu, the head's business isn't something you can talk about. Sihua saw that Uncle Zhu was agitated and quickly reprimanded him. Qibing was here and he was his father after all. Be careful with your words. It's fine. Qibing waved his hand. Uncle Zhu is right, it's not just him, I think the same. But we don't have absolute confidence right now, so we'll let Lin Yi go for now. One day when we have absolute confidence, it'll be Lin Yi's time to die. Jin Wudi was dead. Normal people wouldn't care about this, but the noble houses and above received the news very quickly. The head of House Wu Gongao was one of them. At this moment he was in the hospital getting in 4 drip when the news came. Patriarch, bad news? Something big has happened. A disciple of the Wu family who was in charge of gathering information, rushed into the ward in a hurry. Wu Gongao had just regained his breath when he suddenly heard a disciple report that something big had happened. He was shocked and almost fainted on the sickbed again. Chapter 1379. I'm sorry. The disciple jumped at the sight of Jiaoqi's anger. It's the head of the house who ordered us to inform him immediately if something big happened. Jiaoqi, I said that, don't blame him. Gongao said weakly. Tell me what happened. What exactly happened? Dad, your heart. Jiaoqi was worried that it was bad news for House Wu, so he tried to stop him. It's fine, I won't die yet. Qintian's too impulsive, and as his grandfather, I have to take responsibility for him. Qintian waved his hand. Jiaoqi sighed. His father was a tyrant, but he was still the head of the house after all these years. He was a bit dissatisfied, but ever since Qintian showed his talent in martial arts, Gongao had been paying more and more attention to him, spoiling him a little. He'd even suggested Qintian to be the next head of House Wu during the family meetings. At this time Wu Jiaoqi's heart calmed down. In his generation he wasn't the only one. He had an elder sister and a younger brother. His elder sister was already married, so she couldn't compete with him. But the most important thing was his younger brother and nephew. These 2 people were the real threat to him. But now that Qintian was confirmed as the next heir, Jiaoqi didn't have to worry about these 2 anymore. He'd even thought it through. If he didn't become the head of the house, then so be it. With his father's condition, it was possible that the position would be passed on to Qintian. What was the point of fighting for it? When Qintian became the head of the house, he'd have the same amount of power as the head of the house. However, Wu Jiaolong's younger brother, spoke up at this moment. His voice was stern and tears were about to fall from his eyes. Father, you have to protect your health. You are the pillar of the Wu family. If you collapse, our Wu family will be finished. There's no need to take responsibility for a junior's mistake. That's right, Grandpa. Bro Qintian may have gotten into trouble, but we still have me. The one who spoke was Qintian's younger brother, Qindi. He had always been a well-behaved and scheming person, and he didn't understand why his grandpa didn't think highly of him, instead favoring his stupid older brother. All the good things were taken by Qintian, and he, Qintian, could only be a nobody. What was this? In terms of practice level, he wasn't bad. He was 1 year younger than Qintian, and although he broke through to golden class early phase later than Qintian, the two were already on the same level. Why didn't Grandpa look at him? Gonggao looked at Jiaolong and Qindi calmly. So you're saying that we should give up on Qintian and use House Wu's resources to train you, Qindi? Grandpa, that's not what I meant. Qindi felt wronged. That's what I meant, but why did you say it out loud? Even if I can't admit it in front of so many people. Since that's not the case, then what else is there to say? Gonggao interrupted Qindi and turned to the informant. Speak, what happened? Leader Jianghu is dead. The disciple looked at the Wu family's internal strife and was a little careful. Dead? What did you say? Jianghu is dead? How did he die? Gonggao's eyes froze as he sat up from the bed, his eyes regaining their sharpness as he stared at the disciple. Good. Master Tian's new boss killed him with one punch, instant kill. The disciple said. Qintian's boss killed him? Or was it an instant kill? Wu Gonggao jumped up from the bed. The infusion tube in his hand had been torn apart, but he didn't know it at all. Is what you said true? Jianghu was killed by that Gooden? Yes, Patriarch, I dare not hide it. After this matter happened, I immediately came to report it to Patriarch. The disciple said. Ah. Gonggao started laughing, his laughter shaking the skies. That's great. The heavens have blessed us, House Wu. Waha, that Qintian kid has good eyes, he actually got a boss like this. Looks like House Wu has hope. At this time, other than Wu Gonggao, the happiest person was probably Wu Jiaoqi. Previously, he was still trembling with fear because of his son's matter, fearing that his younger brother and nephew would join forces to seize the position of the family head. But now, it seemed that the dark clouds had passed and the rainbow could be seen. It's all thanks to your teachings, father. This Qintian is lucky, he doesn't have that many schemes, but it's easier for people to accept him this way. Jiaoqi was mocking Jiaolong and Qindi, saying that they were scheming. What was the use of being smart? They weren't even as good as a random boss Qintian had chosen. Wu Jiaolong and Qindi's faces were very ugly. They had planned to use this chance to persuade Gonggao to bring Qintian back and let Qintian reflect on himself, replacing him with Qindi. But now it was all for naught. Grandpa, this is actually a blessing in disguise. Hidden houses have sky-class masters. Who knows if House Pai will come back for revenge? Let's not drag House Wu down with us. Qindi reminded. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Gonggao kicked Qindi. Scram, get out, I don't want to see you. Qindi was kicked away, his heart filled with sadness. He was only 1 year older than Qintian, and their training speed was about the same, so why did he have to like Qintian so much? Hatred flashed in Jiaolong's eyes as well. He didn't know why Gonggao didn't like him and his son. It had been like this since they were young and it was still like this now. It didn't matter if his talent was bad, but Qindi's talent was good. Jiaolong brought Qindi out of the room quickly, not daring to go against the old man at a time like this. After Jiaolong left, Gonggao's face calmed down. He turned to Jiaoqi, call Qintian immediately and ask about the situation.